Pandora's box is about to open wide.
Welcome once again to Pandora's Box, ladies and gentlemen. It's us again. Woo! It's the Pandora's Box guys.
Oh yeah.
Hi. How are you doing? Hope you're having a good one. How you doing today, guys? You alright?
Oh, mighty fine, good sir.
Yeah?
Mighty fine.
Do you want to hear a funny story about Matthew McConaughey?
Yeah.
I do.
You know him, the actor?
I like him.
Yeah,
I read his book, Green Lights.
He seems pretty cool, doesn't he? I remember him, just for some reason watching a clip of him just telling a funny story about his dad, about how his dad always just said that he wanted to die having sex. And that his dad actually did die having sex.
With his mum.
Yeah. So shout out to Matthew McConaughey's dad.
Literally, as he reached the climactic point, had a heart attack and just died on it.
That's the perfect button. Just like,
yeah, it's so intense. That last one.
That must have been like some conflicting feelings going through his body.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because I can't imagine it feels very nice to have a heart attack.
No. But then people get like real with the pain thing sometimes.
Yeah.
It makes it more pleasurable.
Maybe it made it feel like even better.
Yeah, I wonder if it felt like real
Super
good,
Saiyan,
but like horrible.
Super Saiyan cum shot.
Yeah, it was.
Super Saiyan cum shot.
That was like the Kamehameha.
What a way to start the show.
What a way to end his life.
The title for this bit is going to be Super Saiyan cum shot.
Yeah.
Kamehameha.
Oh,
that's so good.
Yeah, I thought this was a little funny Matthew McConaughey story. Anyway, in 1999, he was arrested and charged with possession of marijuana and drug paraphernalia and resisting arrest after police came to his home at 2:45 a.m. Answering a noise complaint from neighbours.
Because he was bashing the bongos too hard.
Yeah.
He was.
Yeah.
I remember in his book. I remember reading this. Yeah.
This happened on the 25th of October, 1999. Officers found McConaughey in his house, naked, playing the bongos and listening to music, but apparently just with a fully clothed male friend. Police say the actor then became belligerent and refused to dress. He was later released on a $1,000 bond. A court date has not set. If convicted, McConaughey could face up to a year in jail and $4,000 fine. We're trying to piece everything together, says the actor's spokesperson. It's really
fun night, isn't it? Really?
It's really funny as well because you can look up the mug shot and he looks like almost like really pleased with himself, which makes it even just more comical. He's got this like smirk on his face. It's like it's like really funny. You have to say though, like from his point of view,
he's in his own house.
I can see why he probably got a bit annoyed with the police. Because imagine that, like you're just having fun in your own house late at night. You're not hurting anyone. Do you know what I mean? He wasn't. It's not like exactly. It's not like he was being drunk and disorderly or like being abusive to anyone. He was just in his own home. And really, you think, you should be able to do whatever you want in your own home. Do you know what I mean? To an extent.
An actor like McConaughey as well, like, he's got to have a detached house.
Yeah,
like, it's not like he's like bothering the people next to him. Yeah, Hampton exactly.
Hills,
you'd imagine he has quite a space.
Yeah. I can't remember if he was already famous or not in 1999. Do you know what I mean? It's
I think
quite a while ago.
He was, but
do you reckon?
Maybe not like super famous.
I'm trying to think what would have been like his breakout movie,
What do you reckon his biggest movie is? Interstellar?
Oh, I don't know, man. I don't know, maybe.
Nowadays.
He's been in quite a lot of stuff, hasn't he? He was in that, wasn't he in that detective series with Woody Harrelson as well?
Mm-hmm. Right.
What was that called?
Oh, God, what was it called?
Was it called like True Crime?
True Crime.
Was it called True Crime?
Yeah, that was epic.
That had Townes Van Zandt a song in it.
Oh, yeah.
That had a Townes Van Zandt song in it, yeah.
Yeah, I remember in his book he was saying that he went through this stage in Hollywood in his career where he would just keep getting like every year just like loads of like just chick flick movies. Like he was like known to be like the
chick
handsome
flick guy. That's
chick flick guy.
Yeah.
And then it was like he got to this stage like before he did like roles like Interstellar and that one where he was real Dallas Biker Club or whatever. Like he went through this like, almost like crisis in the mind. Like do I turn down these like $1 million that I just keep getting through these chick, but I'm not really going anywhere in my career with it. It's not really like challenging me in a certain way. Or do I take a bit of a risk and just say no to some and see if I can do some of these like other movies and that? And it kind of paid off quite a bit.
Definitely.
It seems, isn't it? Yeah, something like Interstellar and that's like.
I always think that like obviously if you were getting like really well paid as an actor, like then obviously you'd be happy because of that. But at the same time, it must be really annoying.
Yeah, a bit soul crushing.
Even if like you get into acting, you probably like think of all like the cool actors like like Christian Bale and Daniel Day-Lewis and Viggo Mortensen and all these like really cool guys. and then all of a sudden, if you were just like a typecast as like the chick flick guy,
Yeah.
that must be like a bit annoying.
It must feel so cool to break out of that as well. I remember hearing Robert Pattinson talk about it.
All right.
And being like the whole of his career, he's sort of been just like taking the mick out of from being the Twilight guy. But now he's Batman. Everyone's like, that's pretty cool. I like Batman.
I wonder if that's fully erased, the Twilight thing.
To be fair, I think he's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So it's done it for me.
I mean, I don't really have an opinion on him.
Is he the guy who was a vampire?
Yeah.
And like the real pretty boy vampire.
Yeah. But now he's Batman.
But Twilight was just like rinsed, wasn't it? For like for like so
not very good.
by like
my sister loved it.
By most people that weren't like teenage girls.
Yeah.
Teenage girls like loved it. Everyone else just rinsed it.
Yeah.
Another thing I thought was cool about McConaughey is that like when I read his book, he would record loads of like almost like voice notes, but before there was voice notes. So he had this I can't remember what they're called. They're like these American style like trailers that you can tow around, and they're like aluminium trailers. Have you ever seen them? They're quite small, but they're like these aluminium.
Yeah.
And he just like got one of those and just would live in it and just like traveled all around. Like would still do movies and stuff, but was just like living in this trailer. And he said he had like a Rode NT1A microphone, and I remember that because that's what I always used to use to record, a condenser microphone. He had it hooked up in his trailer, and he would just be driving around like recording these like crazy long like voice things, like about his just about his thoughts and stuff. And like, and then so a lot of the things that he wrote in his book were like based on listening back to the year's worth of like voice notes that he'd made over the years. So like a voice diary.
Like a voice diary. I
thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's real cool, man.
Yeah.
Interesting guy. But yeah, I thought that was a funny little funny little bit of information anyway.
It's very much like a Drew story.
Yeah.
Like, Drew, if you came into the pod and told us that had happened to you, I'd be like, yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah.
Well, it was like the time when me and Josh got caught like outside in the car, and I had no top on and like and a fez. So it's kind of like that. We were pretty, we were having a smoky.
Who did you get caught by?
It was a police officer,
right?
But it was it was just a really sound that someone had complained that some louts were on the bridge making loads of noise in Cannington. But I don't know whether someone was there before us or something. But me and Josh were basically like wasted, and we were like getting wasted in the house in Cannington. But we wanted to when we wanted to smoke, we'd go in the car and just put some real like nice tunes on and that, and just like. Yeah, so we were out there, but we were getting a bit crazy and stuff, and he'd brought these fezzes back from Turkey for us all as like party fezzes. So yeah, I just had like some jogging bottoms on, no top, a fez, and we were just sitting in the car like listening to like Trivium or something. and we got out and yeah, he didn't search us or anything. He kind of knew what was going on, and I remember I was like, look, I haven't got anything, and just like took the fez off and showed him.
I remember hearing that.
Yeah, and it was
Lucky, he must have just been like a sound copper. Like
he was like, I can see you guys or not, and you say you live there, and I was like, yeah, I was like, literally, we just come out to listen to music in the car. And he was like, "Oh yeah, okay, we'll just go back in then. That's all good." And just let us off. So
sound.
Yeah, I think you can get like a look for someone as well, can't you? If you're a complete lout or not. And
I think as a police officer, the people you want to like spend your energy on are people that are actually like a danger to society.
Yeah,
not just like somebody that's just like chilling. Essentially, do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Even if they are technically doing something a bit naughty.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
He probably thought, I want to get in the back and just chill with him.
Probably. He was probably like, I got so much freaking paperwork to do back at the station. I remember my Uncle Dom saying that was like the worst thing about being a police officer. The paperwork.
Yeah.
Like every single thing that you like do, you've got to then follow up with all this paperwork back at the station. And he said that obviously the longer his career went on, because everything became like more and more politically correct and just like all like crazy, it was just like
real woke.
Yeah, like, but it was just like, and everything's like health and safety mad. So like it was just like the majority.
That's what it was like.
Was just like
Hinkley
paperwork.
Point. Like, and I remember like people saying out there, you're trying to change a flicking light bulb or something, like and you've got to go through so much like paperwork just to do it. And my dad was saying that back when he was in the Navy and he was an engineer, it was like if something went wrong on the ship, it was like you would just do whatever it took to fix it there and then, because it was really important. But
that's what it should be like.
Yeah, and it's like there's things that are going wrong that's costing a lot of money and stuff like that, but like they can't actually fix it unless without going through all of these. But I suppose it's like health and safety in that. But
yeah, a friend of mine was like a fireman. Apparently they like quit their job as a fireman because they said that like health and safety's just gone like mad to the point where like say someone's like in a river and they're like holding on to the banks and there's like a big current and obviously
you've got to do a risk assessment before you go in the
literally. So like, and say like you have to like cross a road to get to the river, they have to follow all these health and safety procedures just because you're crossing a road. It's like, just cross the road.
look left, look right.
But like, but obviously, like if you don't, you can get like
and you can show you haven't done that thing.
Then it's like really bad for your career, obviously. So it's like they were just like, oh, screw this. I'm just not gonna. But that's so bad, isn't it? Because it's like you're de-incentivizing people to become like firemen and police officers and stuff, which is like. That is like such a crucial part of our society.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And then it's at the same time, people are like, oh yeah, like police are rubbish and that. But it's like, we can see sometimes they might be turning a blind eye to things, not just because they're rubbish. Well, but do you know what I mean? But it's like, because they're probably just like, oh, do you know what, is this even worth this like mountain of paperwork I've got back? Do you know what I mean? Like they might be like, end of their shift, they're a bit tired. Whereas like, if they were allowed to actually just do their job well, without all the craziness that comes along with it, then they might actually just be a bit more proactive.
Yeah,
you know,
like get more done.
Yeah. It's like, screw the paperwork.
You're here to save lives. You're almost losing the best people, aren't you?
Yeah.
The people that actually just want to go out there and get stuff done and
literally
actually make a difference.
People that just want to literally save people's lives. You know, like and like stop abuse of people, save lives. Literally, like protect people from murderers. Yeah, like save people that are like drowning or save people from like burning buildings. Now it's just. Oh man, the amount of health and safety and that's.
I didn't realise like the UK as well was like one of the highest standards for like. Like it is health and safety in that, but like electricity in that, like our voltage, the way it is, it's like lower than say like America.
I thought it was
like,
higher.
I think America's higher. I mean, Rich was telling me about it because he's doing electric. He's like an electrician now. He's like doing an apprenticeship in electric.
Oh, he's not a cook anymore.
No, he's an electrician. Like, so he's at Hinkley Point, like doing. So yeah, he has been
screwing in light bulbs.
Yeah,
So doing lots of wiring.
Doing bits and bobs. But like he's basically changed his career path because like.
Say what, man, it's handy to know a good electrician.
Yeah, and also being a chef, like the hours and that absolutely crazy, horrible, and just so much work. For like I suppose you get a reward like doing good food and everything, but it was just like he said you just run yourself into ground. He was like working for like or like not sleeping very much and things like that. But he was telling me that America is on a different like the hertz and that stuff, and it's more dangerous over there than it is here. Like
I'd heard that it's more I'd heard that it's more dangerous, but I couldn't.
And it's because of something to do with like the voltages and that. It's like there's loads more power going into stuff.
I think I might have heard as well. You know that like on our plugs we've got like 3 prongs, and they've only got 2. I think ours are safer. Like the actual plugs themselves.
And he's saying that we've got a lot higher standards with all things like with health and safety and with electricity and that. And that's why a lot of places, like when my dad went out to Nigeria and worked in Kazakhstan and Nigeria, he was explaining about expats going over to other countries. The reason that they want people from the UK is because the laws are so intense and extreme over here for like health and safety and electricity and all of that kind of thing, and like the legislation. They want to set those standards there to almost to bring that infrastructure into countries that are more like third world and stuff. And it was like, I think I wonder where we can. I know we're like super high up, but like I wonder if we are the most like stringent like place in like in the world really, like country wise.
Yeah.
Surprised.
Right. Let me have a look. I think that basically, I think that we both sort of nailed it. So by the sounds of things, there's a lot of information here. I think that like the US plugs are safer, but I think but I was right that like technically we have the more powerful voltage. So we have more powerful voltage going through our wires, but our plugs are much safer. So I guess if you were more likely to get electrocuted in America, but it wouldn't maybe kill you. There's less chance of it maybe killing you than it would in the UK. Sorry. When you before you actually click on the thing, you can almost like see the information you're afterwards, and then when you actually click on it, there's just like so much information. You're like scrolling trying to look for it. I could see what I was almost after before I actually clicked on the thing, or at least a bit of it, and it literally said like the UK voltage is this and the American is this, but now I've actually clicked on it. It's
because I know we're like 50 hertz and like I think America's like 60 hertz or something.
Like going through the plug.
Oh, I don't know.
All right, because wait a minute. Let me see. So it says the UK carries 230 volt on all houses with max 13 amps. US sockets are 120 volt.
That was it. So it's more dangerous. No.
Wait, 120 is 110 less than 230, isn't it? So UK carries 230 volts. The US sockets are 120 with 15 amps. And the UK carries 230 volts with 13 amps. Okay, so they have 2 more amps, but 110 less volts. I don't really know what that means, to be honest with you. But yeah, I remember hearing before that we had like more power through our wires, but our plugs are safer. Yeah, because I can't remember, because I think isn't like one of our prongs literally just acting as like an earther, whereas I don't even know if the Americans have that in their ones. I don't know.
I wish I could remember what Rich was actually saying, but he was saying like that it's safer here than over there, like, you know. And then because then we were talking about like medical stuff and that as well, and it's like what you have to go through here to get like drugs like passed in like medically and everything in the UK is much more stringent than like in America as well. So
this is
even like baby formulas and that, like, because they're having a baby soon, they're saying like you know.
What about baby formulas?
Like in the UK, they've got to
better stringent testings. We have in general for like our meat and everything as well. I remember like like a lot of meat in the US is like washed with chlorine and stuff like that, and obviously you don't really want chlorine like on your stuff, whereas we have a lot more like strict
higher
rules.
Standards.
Yeah, we have
certain those things.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, this seems like much better information. So this is from this website called forwardtome.com, and it says why you may need to change your plugs to use your new tech in the USA. And it says, let's start with the absolute basics. A US plug socket is completely different shape to both a UK plug socket and a European plug socket. Okay, that's more. Just go. This is because the US electric grid uses a much lower voltage than both the UK and the rest of Europe. At best, plugging a device into a socket with the wrong voltage will simply mean it doesn't work. At worst, you could be facing electrocution or fire. So what are the differences between the US and European voltages? UK voltage versus US voltage. There's a stark difference between the voltage in the UK and the US. An electrical device in the UK is built for a grid using a 230 volt. The grid in the USA provides 120 volts of electricity. The rest of Europe is the same as the UK and uses 230 volts. So, so all of Europe and the UK uses 230 volts. America uses 120. That's quite a big difference, isn't it?
Yeah.
You just almost like, it makes you wonder why. Because obviously, in a lot of ways, America's ahead of us in terms of technology. So it makes you almost think like how, like, you know, like sometimes, like, you know, you can literally like short your house out, can't you? Or, you know, you can like blow a fuse, like not just like in your plug. I'm talking about like, you know, your fuse can go down in your box, or like in extreme circumstances. I remember talking to my friend Joe, the electrician who does all of our stuff about this. He's absolutely sound. Shout out Joe. South African guy, used to be like a safari park ranger hunting poachers in South Africa before he like met his wife and moved to the UK. So he probably has a much more tame life nowadays. But yeah, sound bloke, really knows his stuff. I remember, like, you know, he was saying that like he's had call outs before, literally on Christmas Day, because like say, you know, somebody's got some kids back from like university or college. One of them's using the shower and it's electric shower. The oven's on downstairs. Somebody's watching TV. The toaster's on. Sometimes you have all these like high voltage appliances on the same time. It's enough to literally just blow the whole entire fuse box, and you get a call out, and people are obviously panicking because then it's like everything's gone down, and it's like Christmas Day or like Boxing Day or
no backup generator.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So it's like you literally are getting this mad call out just to like try and like sort someone's entire fuse box out. But it's like makes you think like how are there not more issues, electrical issues? Because 110 less volts, that's a hell of a lot.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a hell of a lot. That's like they're running on like a third, like 33% less power, pretty much. That seems like a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah, but still, like you think of the homes and like the bigger homes.
See, like 33%. If someone was 33% shorter than you, they'd be a dwarf.
And they still run their whole. They have like mansions over there, don't they? Compared to us, a lot of the time.
Yeah, and like electric garage. Like we're pretty old school. Like most garages in the UK are like still like just manual. Whereas like it seems really commonplace.
Real fancy.
Yeah, but it seems really commonplace in the US to have like electric garages and like gate. You know what I mean? So it almost just makes you think, doesn't it? Like you think of Americans, because Americans always want the biggest and best of everything as well. So they probably, you know, you think of their tellies are probably like Americans going to want a big telly and they're going to want like a big oven,
12 litre.
Yeah.
V8.
What, a 12 litre V8?
Yeah.
What TV?
Yeah.
Imagine that.
Scooter.
That's American TVs don't even run electricity. They have like a massive
horsepower.
V12 engines, mate. 5 litre V12 engines. You have to pour loads of oil into it and petrol every day and that. Yeah. Mate, wouldn't even be surprising, would it?
Yeah, I wonder how that works. Pretty crazy.
Yeah, I don't understand it at all. To be
It'd
honest.
be interesting to speak to Nicky C as well about like his work. He like he was explaining to me about his work when I was living with when he was living with us ages ago, and he helps like build these massive circuit boards that basically step down the power from like the grid to like how like they go through some certain like transformers and step downs, because you think of the amount of electricity that's going through the huge cables that are running across country across the power grid, and that's like an insane amount of electricity, isn't it? And then then it gets stepped down into like the
I remember him saying it's quite dangerous. I remember he was like, I remember he was like, man, if you screw about at work, you can die.
Yeah, because they like bend all the huge copper things for the to make these like step down transformers.
Like a random thing that he does, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, and very like technical as well. And
he's
just,
very
like,
smart though.
Yeah, and he can like read electric like diagrams.
I
can't.
He can read like, you almost sound like embarrassed, Andrew. He can read like.
I'm embarrassed because I can't even read an electrical diagram to change the pickups on my guitar. Because you can if you can do a bit of soldering that, like you got that's like a like common thing of like guitar like.
Surely it can't be that hard, can it?
It's not, but it is. Like when you just got a load of wires in front of you, and it's like the ground and the earth and like and all that stuff.
But it's all
like,
color coded, isn't it?
It is, but then different pickups use different color sets, so you've got.
Oh really?
Yeah.
What, it's
like,
not universal.
Which is really annoying.
It's not just the standard like
Seymour Duncan
brown,
like,
blue, and then like green and yellow.
Yeah, and then Jackson have like a different set, and like and across the years. So if you work in some pickups from the 70s or something, it's like a bit different.
I guess also as well, like a lot of guitars, like say you get like a Gibson, it's going to be from an American one, so they would have different. I expect they don't. Obviously, I can't imagine they follow the same like brown, blue, and
and
yellow
I think
and green.
I don't. You know, like the different voltage in that. Like I don't think that makes a difference in like guitar, like like pickups and stuff. But like I think they're universal still, which is weird, isn't it? You'd think, but then I suppose it's not. It's only on batteries. It's not. You're not plugging it.
Yes, it's not like you're not. Yeah, I completely see what you're saying. Yeah.
But
you're plugging your amp in, but you're not plugging your guitar.
But I reckon people who knew enough about like wiring and like electricians and stuff, they'd be able to look at the pickups and go, I can see that one is the earth, that one's the light, that one's the ground.
I see what you're saying as well. Like, I don't think that the wiring in a guitar would be in any way like they would be in a plug. Obviously, no. It's just like individual little wires that are probably made specifically for the pickups.
Yeah,
like, it's not like Yeah, there is some more information here on it though. Just so it says, just because there's a huge difference in two voltage levels between the US and the UK, it doesn't necessarily mean you can't use your items in the US. You can now find dual voltage appliances fairly easily. Most modern devices, in fact, would be classed as dual voltage. Dual voltage simply means they can automatically adapt to the network voltage when they're plugged in. For example, many smartphones have an input range of 100 to 240 volts. This means they will adapt to any voltage within that range. Okay, so you could just plug it in anywhere in Europe and in the US. I guess they specifically be made like that because obviously they want to mass manufacture them for people all over the world, regardless of what their grid's like and the power that's coming through their walls. You can find the voltage range on the label of your device. Some devices do not have access to this kind of range. However, in some cases, they may simply be older technology, but there are a few where the flexibility just isn't possible. These are predominantly devices that are supposed to use mains power to generate heat. Think kettles, hairdryers, or fridges. Okay, so like if you took like a kettle, because kettles aren't even like a thing in the US. Did you know that?
No.
Americans don't have kettles, mate.
That's mental.
What do they do?
Mate, they don't drink tea like we do. It's more of like a very niche thing.
Coffee machines.
And they have, if they're gonna have coffee, they have a coffee machine.
Yeah.
It's such a British thing. Like apparently, it's like a real it's something that you wouldn't think about because obviously Americans are so similar to us in so many ways in terms of like language and culture. A lot of it overlaps, doesn't it? But apparently, one of the biggest things that British people are shocked about when they go to America
kettles
is they just don't have kettles. And if you ask for kettle, they're almost like, what?
Yeah.
Like, a kettle, and they're like, what? Sorry. Like,
there's a lot of things in kitchens now. Like Sav's got it in her kitchen where the left hand's like you got your tap with two things. The one on the right just has hot or cold, and you can just like you kind of balance between to get like the thing right. And then the one on the left is like you turn it, and it goes and it just spurts out like boiling water after about 5 seconds, and I'm like, whoa, that's like pretty crazy.
That must go through copper pipes then, surely, because if it was plastic, surely it would melt them.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean, like the plumbing?
I think it generates. I think it's this thing that generates.
So it generates it in.
Yeah, so that's why it takes about 5 seconds. So you go like that, and then you just hear it going.
So it's got this like motor,
or something
like
under
under the sink or something.
Yeah, to like boil.
So
the
it's
water
not like the boiler water is coming
it.
through from somewhere. No. Oh, that makes much more sense.
It does it on the actual thing, and like I always think that's pretty like cool and crazy. I'm like, I don't even need a kettle. Just like she just gets cups of tea just straight from her tap like that. Like,
man, that's like negated the use of a kettle.
Yeah,
I've heard that people, like people that have like family in America or good friends, and you go over there, like it's real common in the UK, and it like you get to a point in the day you're like, oh, I'll have a cup of tea or I'll have a cup of coffee. Not everyone, like you don't like hot drinks, do you? But
man, I reckon if I was over there, I would never even know that there wasn't kettles.
Yeah. But obviously
I have lots of hot drinks. So
yeah, me too. I usually have 2 cups of coffee a day and 1 cup of tea. That's my norm.
I have 4 cups of coffee a day and like 1 cup of tea.
I used to be like that, but like, cool, man. Do you know what I mean? I have a hard enough time switching off in the evenings as it is.
Yeah.
And also, I was thinking, like, because I'm an extremist by nature, I'd have like quite strong coffees. Well, I still do.
Yeah.
So I just think, it's probably not in the long term good for your ticker. Do you know what I mean? Because you're just like making your heart pump ridiculously fast like all the time. And then on top of that, you're affecting your sleep quality and stuff. It's just not good, is it? But everything's good in moderation.
That's it.
Everything's good in moderation.
That's it.
But yeah, like apparently a lot of people, they go to the US and they're just like, so they just have to boil like like a pot on the hob, and they just have to like have a little like make themselves a little cup of tea by just like pouring the boiling water out of the pot, pots and pans.
Now you've explained that about the electricity being like less in America as well. It makes sense, because I remember I watched this video the other day of like there's this amazing like woman guitar luthier in the UK called Daisy Tempest. And do you remember I was saying about those like bog oak back and sides and stuff? So she makes these incredibly beautiful acoustic guitars and sells them for about 40 grand a pop.
That's insane.
And she brought this, like on the sides of guitars, on acoustic guitars, that it's like a bit bendy, like so there's these specific machines that you can get to like bend the wood into the shape of the side of an acoustic guitar, like the kind of hips, the curvy hip bits and that. And you've got to like get a bit of water on the wood or a little bit of moisture, and then there's like this pressing machine that like presses it into the correct shape with heat. So it like heats the moistened wood.
It's like ironing it.
And kind of like bends it in. But she brought this specific, and I was watching her video, and like she brought this specific bender from Stu Mac in America, like an American luthier company, like does loads of amazing like luthier tools and that, and plugged it in the UK. And where ours is like double the voltage, she just didn't like know about this. So like she basically pumped 230 or 60, whatever our voltage is, through 100. So it still works, but it just heated it to twice or nearly triple the temperature. Wow. So you just see her doing it, and then you just see all this smoke like coming up from the sides, and it just did it like super quick. And she was like, "What the hell?" And she realised
it was good. So it made it super efficient.
But it burnt the wood as well. So she said she only just saved it, but like for like
once you know that, surely she could
then what you've got to do is get like a step down converter, and now like Josh, because Josh got his Mesa Boogie amp from America as well, and I always remember at gigs he'd carry this massive like fat transformer box, and I'm like, that looks so annoying, rather than just a kettle lead. Like, why'd you have to use that? And it's obviously that as well, because the amp is set up to run on American voltage, so you've got to get a step down transformer thing that's this huge like.
He must have learned that through trial and error. I wonder if he plugged it in for the first time and it just was like or whatever.
Yeah, because you're basically pumping a lot more electricity than it needs through it. So it can like blow it up and stuff.
We'll have to ask him. Try and remember to ask him.
That's funny about that. I've never really thought about it, but like, you always used to carry that on the gigs and stuff, and it was like another annoying, like extra big fat thing to to have.
Talking about Josh, it was his birthday last week, wasn't it?
It was indeed.
Zeus While the Gold. So for people that are listening, Josh has been a guest on Pandora's Box before. And obviously, he's Bullwinkle's older brother. Used to be in a band with Drew, and I've known Josh since we were like, I can't remember if it was either 4 or 5, but Yeah, it was his birthday last week, so happy birthday to Zouswa. And me and Bullwinkle made a little funny...
Yeah, that was awesome, man. That was so funny just seeing that like pop up on Facebook.
Yeah, we are going to release it. So me and Bullwinkle made a little song and video for it. So we will put that out on the Pandora's box, like YouTube soon. So keep an eye out for that. Because it was a real funny, just like silly, like Tenacious D, Lonely Island style sort of like song, all about our mate Josh. Basically, he's into quite a lot of stuff. I mean, I think a lot of people are maybe, but Josh is just on the upper end of that spectrum. Do you know what I mean? Like really into like photography, art, music,
to a high level,
like running. But just like really, just really good at all of them and stuff. So it was just like he's a tree surgeon by trade and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, we just sort of made a funny song about him.
Man, we should speak about the stress of actually getting it out on time as well.
Oh yeah, we were a bit of a time schedule. So I think I said to Bullwinkle about like 2 weeks ago or something. I was like, well, I was actually with you when I came up with the melody for it, wasn't I? Or like the melody for the verse. The first thing I came up with was the verse, and I think I can't even remember how I came onto it. I think it was because one of us mentioned that it was coming up to like Josh's birthday or something. And then I started with the there's a helicopter over there.
Oh,
there's
nice.
a rescue helicopter.
Hello,
they must be looking for someone. Anyway, easily distracted. Oh look, a helicopter.
Big window.
Yeah. Oh look, the sky looks nice. So I came up with like the little verse melody, and then I was like, oh, I'll remember that one maybe. And then I said to Bullwinkle like, oh yeah, I should do like a funny little like song for Josh's birthday. But then it was almost like just like forget about it. And then it literally got to like the day before. And then I was like, yeah, when you have it in your mind that you want to do something. If I have it in my head that I want to do something, I got to do it.
Yeah.
I get like super annoyed if I don't do it then. So I was like, okay, yeah, I got to do it. And I even said to you, I think the day before, I was like, oh man, I'm probably going to have a bit of a late night tonight because I still got like, come up there and record it and stuff like that. Anyway, so so I wrote the rest of the song. I came up with like the chorus and like this little drop and stuff like this. And then but then I thought, actually, I'll record it quickly on Audition like the next day because then I thought at least I can like layer it up a little bit. Do you know what I mean? 'Cause I thought it'd be like a bit funny, and it's easy to do because we have Audition here in the studio and stuff like that.
Nice mics.
Yeah. So I thought, let's just quickly do that. And then obviously I came in and Bullwinkle was like, man, we could even do like a little video if you wanted. And then obviously like the creative juices started like flying. But yeah, you had to be at Josh's birthday meal for what was it, like 6:30?
6:30. And I left here at
35
past 6.
Yeah, but bearing in mind, I met Bullwinkle here at about 1 o'clock. He just spent like the morning recording some of my old man's shows on AW Radio. And then he still had to record scenarios, and then I had to record the Dark Dell after that, and then we had to record a song and shoot a video for it.
Yeah.
And Bullwinkle had to be in Taunton for Josh's meal for 6:30. And mate, it was tight, wasn't it?
It was really tight.
Did you find the Queen's nose or whatever, or like the that thing that you should rub the penny and it'd stop time?
Oh yeah, that was that kids program, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Bullwinkle will not know.
I have no clue
Was
as
it
to
called
that
the Queen's
reference.
Nose?
I think it was called the Queen's Nose.
Yeah.
That was quite a good little show actually, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was like this little man.
Everybody
Everybody around the age of like 30 to 40 in the UK will definitely know what we're on about. It was this little kids program in the 90s. And it was like this little boy in the just like I think it was like a 50
pence piece, yeah.
And like it had like the Queen's nose. And I wonder what the Queen thought about that.
He used to rub the Queen's nose and it would stop time.
Do you reckon the Queen ever watched that and thought this is bloody weird?
Yeah,
this is a weird program.
Again.
Imagine it just
trying
like
to rub on her own nose.
Yeah,
Imagine if every time she watched it, she was like,
yeah.
Every time you like rubbed the penny, she'd be like.
Imagine if a program was made about you and it was just called like Bullwinkle's toe.
Yeah.
What would you think of that?
To rub his toe and it's just like a photo of my feet. I'd be like, what?
Yeah. But I think I remember like the intro was almost like a bit trippy, wasn't it? Do you know what else I was thinking? We'll get back to what we were saying, but like I remember as well. Do you remember the Demon Headmaster?
Yes,
mate. Yeah. That was quite like a trippy program, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Shout out to everybody that remembers the Demon Headmaster. That was like this like trippy kids program from the 90s, and it's quite dark, really, isn't it? Like I remember the theme tune was really minor and creepy. It was like
oh yeah.
It was almost like it was like I would say like on par with say like how the X-Files intro is a bit creepy. It was like similar, like similar thing to that. But obviously it was made for like primary school kids, and literally the premise was that the headmaster of this kid's school was a demon. And he was like really eerie, wasn't he? It's like, and if you like looked into his eyes, he could like hypnotise you with that. And it was like freaking dark, man. That was good.
Yeah.
I would genuinely rewatch that.
Yeah.
I might be a bit of like one of those things I watch it back and I'm like, oh, you know what I mean? But
Anthology, watch them all.
yeah, like that. I reckon that'd be freaking cool.
Omnibus.
Yeah, omnibus back to back. Queen's Nose, Demon Headmaster, and then Broom.
Yeah,
and then Broom afterwards, mate. Broom, just to take the edge off. Broom.
And then just to wind down a bit as well. That one where the dog gets in the plane and is like flying around in the plane.
Mate, I don't even know that.
There was this you know those dogs that are like quite got like a bit like a Dulux dog, like
shaggy,
real shaggy like hair.
Yeah.
And there was just this like, I can't remember what that one was called, but it was this woman who had this dog, and then they would get in this plane and they would both fly in this plane.
I have no recollection of that. I remember how good.
It's not the whole premise of the show.
Yeah,
it's like every episode.
I need to figure out what that is now. If anyone knows out there, let us know.
one show that was like international. I think it was actually Canadian, but obviously was really well known in both the US and the UK as well, which I thought was really good. Is Are You Afraid of the Dark? Because at the same time they used to broadcast Goosebumps, didn't they? But I actually reckon Are You Afraid of the Dark was like a bit better. Yeah, really good. I mean, I don't know.
I know that. I can't think of watching one. I can remember watching Goosebumps and that, but I obviously watched that as well. But like, I can't.
If anybody out there that's like used to watch both Goosebumps and Are You Afraid of the Dark, let me know what you think. Like, comment on either. Like,
I'll do
YouTube
a poll
or
on
Spotify. Drew will do a poll on Spotify, or just comment on or YouTube, or just message us and let us know. Like, just find us on Instagram on like the Pandora's Box Instagram, and just DM us, man, or just comment on the post for this episode, and just let us know what you thought was sketchy or what you thought was better, Goosebumps or Are You Afraid of the Dark. And also let us know if you remember the Demon Headmaster or the Queen's Nose or that weird one with the dog in the plane that Drew even remembers.
Did you have like a favourite like TV channel? Like, I can remember as a kid, the one, like as a little kid, it was always Nickelodeon for SpongeBob. You know, and then once you get past that, it was Cartoon Network. That was like everything was kicking off.
You've got to bear in mind that when we were really little, most people only had terrestrial TV.
Right.
There was only 5 channels.
Right.
And even Channel 5,
crazy.
Even Channel 5 didn't come out until we were like 5, I think.
Yeah, that's mental to think about.
So we had 4 channels until we were 5, and then Sky came out. My old man got Sky pretty quickly. Sky back in those days, I think, only had about 200 channels, so it didn't have like the 1,000 channels that it has nowadays. It was that's when it became Sky Plus. Then it got like 1,000 channels. Before that, it was just called Sky. Nowadays, I think it's just called Sky again because it's like the Sky Plus has just became normalised, and that's just Sky. But
now you got to get packages like sports package, movie package, and.
But I remember my old man got like Sky. But say obviously most days when I'd leave school, I'd go back to my grandparents' house in Wemden, and they didn't have freaking Sky until like much later. Well, probably until about like 2001 or something.
I remember it was always really annoying because like sometimes we would have Sky and then sometimes we wouldn't. So like, do you know what I mean?
On the month.
Yeah, like so like they'd like get Sky and we get all the dish and everything set up and that, and then they'd be like, we can't afford Sky.
Money,
yeah. So then you still have all the box and everything.
I want to watch Gladiator on.
Yeah, and I'm like,
Sky
no, we haven't got like Sky movies anymore. But then you'd still get a load of like free channels,
about 200 or something.
Like that were even if you didn't have Sky, but you still had the Sky box set up. So I remember there was
almost
stuff
like a Freeview box.
It would like turn into a Freeview box, and I remember there was like a golf channel, like on it, like an American like golf channel, and I used to just watch that all the time. Especially my grandparents. So my grandparents always had Sky, and like nan and gran. My nan's like that. She's obsessed with TV. She's got an 80-inch TV.
What?
Yeah. So you say about when you were saying about Americans, I'm like, oh, my nan's like that as well. Like her TV literally is, and it's a real lush 4K
Mate, I have a 55 inch,
high.
And that seems like pretty big.
It's big, man.
Pretty
55. Big. I didn't know they got bigger than that, but yeah, she got an 80-incher.
That's crazy.
And she
loves it.
Always had Sky in that, like even back in when I lived with them in Cannington.
Mate, it's like going to the freaking movies, going around your nan's, going to the cinema.
But it's like one of those things where it is literally 6 a.m. or whenever they get up, like super early. TV goes on, and then it's all, and then when she moves to the bedroom, then that TV goes on. Like, it's just all on constantly.
Funny
That's
that,
super. Just watches all of like Emmerdale and all of those, like all of the soaps.
We're gonna watch Emmerdale now.
Oh god, and it'll be
Mate,
all that.
I couldn't could not. It would drive me freaking batty.
But then I think like my
soaps.
nan's in a bit of fear as well about stuff, and I think it's just because you watch so much news all the time, like that, and everything that's there. It's just all super like, this is happening.
Yeah, it's not good, is it? I feel like people of that generation, of our grandparents' generation, do tend to do that, and they don't really question the news.
No,
either.
it's just like whatever's getting fed through that.
But that's so bad, isn't it? That's so bad. It's almost like, well, it seems what I mean when I say it's bad is it's like shows how neglectful it is of, say, news sites to like basically not be 100% truthful, to like have some agenda because maybe somebody's I don't know, maybe one of their like chief advertisers, obviously like they're not going to say anything that's going to like ruin the reputation of one of their chief advertisers, or someone's got like some stock in somewhere, so it's like, okay, no, don't say it,
I think there's the world and there's your world, and I think it's important to live in your world for the majority of time. You need to have the perspective of both. I think you should know what's going on in the world and outside of it. But I also think it's important to keep in touch with what's going on around you.
Yeah, that's what you actually have control over.
Yeah,
and also to do your own research from a variety of sources.
Yeah.
That you're like looking at, not just blindly trusting BBC News or ITV News.
I do quite like that on X, like because I always go on X, like where it's uncensored for news and just for things that's going on around.
Like find out some news, might see a fanny.
Yeah, there you go. And but also it annoys me, but I like that they're doing it. Like sometimes, like something that like I really don't agree with will just pop up on my feed, and usually when like with the algorithms, it feeds you like what you like and what you interact with, and it's like part of like your custom feed is like because of what it thinks, the algorithm thinks that you like and stuff. So I'm like liking quite a lot of things like of a certain like about certain things, but then I'll get like a completely opposite opinion of that, and I'll be like, why is this even coming up on my feed? And it like really annoys me. But I think it's like because the way that they're trying to do it is they're trying to show you a varied like thing. I'm like, that's cool that they're doing it still. I respect it, but it still really annoys me when I see it. Like,
definitely. I think
it's funny.
You don't want to like you don't want to be like almost like living in a world where you only ever hit what you want to hit. Even if that's annoying to you, isn't it? But anyway, getting back to that music video that we did for Josh. Yeah, so Bullwinkle had to leave Bridgewater at 6 to get to Tottenham for 6:30. And we were just on such a tight time code, weren't we? So we like recorded the track. Luckily, the original like the main track I just did in like sort of like, I can't remember if it was like 2 or 3 takes, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think the first one I messed up a little bit, and then I was like, let's do it again. So I just recorded the rhythm and the vocals, and then we did like did a little bit of layering. Most of it was fine. I did this tiny little like guitar solo at the end, which was
that damn solo,
which just got really, really freaking like annoying. It's just like a little bit at a time, or like you make a bum note or you mess it up, and I was like, right, let's do it again. And I ended up doing about freaking 10 times, and then just like watching the clock go by. And then, like, it was like 5:30 or something. It was like, mate, we haven't even done the video yet. Yeah. And it was like, and obviously that wasn't helping because you want to be relaxed, don't you, to do a good take, really?
Did you notice when you were like overdubbing stuff? Did anything?
Everything's
like,
at a time.
Yeah.
And we've noticed that before, haven't
we?
Yeah, you have to, because that's annoying. It's the latency. So it's basically that we're hearing it through the mic. Like
as we speak,
there's no latency whatsoever, but the time that takes to go in the computer system and record into the thing is about 3 milliseconds or 4 or 5 milliseconds. I don't know what the actual time is. So when it records in, it always is a little bit out, so you have to like knock it back a bit. But
so that's
it's annoying because on Cubase it does it automatically, so it figures out what the latency is, and it automatically just shifts it a bit.
That is so much fun.
So not only was that like,
because I was going to say that must have been quite annoying if you're recording a take and then you can't even hear what it's like.
Line it all up. Like every single like track had to line it up. So obviously I did like several like vocal tracks. Bullwinkle did like some some extra vocals. I did like several layers of vocals just to like make it, just to layer it up a little bit and just make it a bit more fun. Just added some little guitar harmonies in here and there just to make it a bit more like fun. But yeah, and then just had to like really rush this little music video. But it was real fun, as I said.
Was it in the garden there?
Yeah. We literally just took the camera out, did 2 takes of a video, and then I just ran in, put it like straight on the PC. I didn't even like look at the edit. I didn't watch the video until I watched it with Josh later on. And I like, when we were adding in the photos and stuff, I was like, just put that there. And then it came out pretty well. It was quite fun.
For all of you like OG Pandora's Box fans that like, you know, follow us on like YouTube and stuff like that, I think like because obviously we did like the Negroni cocktail one and we did the Jimmy O'Malley ones. I think that like it might be the best one.
I love it, man. I just think all the projects we do like that are the funnest thing we do.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
So good.
I completely agree. Yeah.
But we were saying we're probably going to be doing more.
Oh yeah, because I think, you know, we're like, you know, considering we knocked it out in such a tight time frame, because obviously if we hadn't done it by the time Bullwinkle left, basically we weren't going to be able to do it, and it was Josh's birthday that day, and we wanted to send it to him that day. You know, so obviously like it's basically as soon as Bullwinkle like left and it was still exporting. The video was still exported, but he sent it. He obviously set it so like once it had exported, it would just be sent to me straight away by email. So then I like downloaded it and then like uploaded it to Josh's Facebook so he could like see it for the lols, like at his convenience. But yeah, it did almost like make us think, didn't it? It was like, well, if we can like knock that out in like a couple of hours, essentially.
I think having a like a deadline to meet, like with stuff like that, it really focuses things. It
does really focus you, but it also makes you think. Okay, well, obviously we were on a real tight time schedule because it was Josh's birthday that day. But obviously most projects, and I mean, I have so many ideas on my notes on my phones and just weird projects and like voice notes from melodies I've come up with that I thought that's probably good enough to like write down before I forget it, or like, you know, make a voice note of it before I forget. I've got loads of things like that, but obviously most things that you don't have a time frame for, that you can work on it a bit more relaxed. We were saying, you know, there's nothing stopping us from just say like, you know, just put in like 1 or 2 hours in it just every week. Do you know what I mean? Just like, you know, so like,
just ticking away,
and then just like 1 or 2 hours a week. That's like, you know, every like 3 weeks we might have like a new little project just to put on the Pandora's Box YouTube and that just you know, just for a bit of fun. You know, at the end of the day, they're pretty much like most things I come up with, like when it comes to music and that, they're like comedic. Do you know what I mean? I find that the most fun. I just like I like writing things that are funny and like, you know, almost like not like overly serious. Like I find that quite fun. But obviously the Negroni cocktail one and the Jimmy O'Malley ones were all like quite silly. Do you know what I mean? Like just quite fun, like, and quite silly, and that was definitely the vibe with the Which Josh Are You Getting Today vid as well. And I said we will upload it soon, but me and Bullwinkle thought like because we definitely could improve on it. It got like a really good reception on Facebook and stuff, which was really, really cool. But we thought we definitely could improve it a little bit, so we're going to improve the video a little bit. And then once we've improved the video, we'll put it out on our YouTube. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. It'll be like a 3-minute long little music video called "Which Josh Are You Getting Today?" and it'll also give you an insight into our friend Josh's life. As I said, a lot of you will have you know, long time PB listeners will have heard Josh. It was only like a couple of months ago he was on as a guest, wasn't it? It was like November or something, like just before Christmas, I want to say.
Speaking of Josh, when I went round his for his birthday the other day. He's got like this art printer now for all his art.
Yeah.
So we got out all of the different prints and put them on the ground. Man, the stuff he's drawing is ridiculous. It's of such a high level now that like he's got so many like drawings on his wall from artists and stuff. His is no worse than that. Like,
no doubt.
Better in some cases. It's incredible. He did. I don't know if you guys have seen the one he did for Bloodstock.
I mean, if he's put it out on Instagram,
I don't think he did.
Oh, okay, then
I don't think he did, but he made like a Bloodstock one.
Right.
I'm not sure if I'm allowed to speak about this, but I'll speak about it anyway.
He's probably hasn't find out a non-disclosure agreement.
But it's not getting used for anything basically. But it was just like he sent it off to them, and it, whatever didn't go any further.
Buggers.
But mate, it's incredible. It's so good. Like, the actual detail in it is ridiculous. So,
mate, he was always really good, even when we were in primary school, man. I remember he was always like the best artist in our class. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, he just drawing like Dragon Ball Z pictures because that's what we were into and stuff at the time. And his were almost like not obviously as good at that time as the actual animation, but like, to be honest, like not too far off.
Yeah.
Which is pretty mad when
As
you're
a
in
kid,
Which is pretty mad when you're like in year 6.
Yeah.
Like year 5, year 6.
I'd
sort
love
of
to
thing,
have like a studio one day, like in my pad of dreams, and like that's
what it would be called. You get a little sign,
pad of dreams,
dreams,
and like have like loads of Josh's art, just like actual proper like up on the walls and stuff, like as like framed in that.
And then
it's so epic. It's one of my favourites, like, you know. And I love that he always mixes in the elements in it, like, so it's quite esoteric and stuff, like where it's got like you've got, it looks like you've got like fire, water, earth, and air and stuff in like all the smoke and everything. So cool. Yeah, exactly, man.
It's very dynamic, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
always like very dynamic and moving, and yeah, just incredible. Like, I can't even comprehend how you would even start. Like, he was.
So many dots.
We've even spoken on this pod before about how you can almost feel like these artists that have made great things, whether it's musicians or, you know, the people that people look up to today. They sort of speak about how they feel like they've been taken over. And I was asking Josh when he brought out these drawings the other day, I was saying, it must be so stressful when you start a new one. Like, how do you know where you're going to go with it? And he was like, it is stressful. He doesn't know, but he just starts like drawing a couple shapes randomly and then just builds the picture in his head. And then it's almost just like it sort of like takes over him.
That's so good.
Like, it's almost just like he is in a bit of a trance, and it's just like some sort of vessel is like using him to make this. But yeah, I thought that was pretty cool.
I think that's like the only way you really can create though well. You know? Like, if it's almost like the moment it becomes hard is the moment it becomes bad.
It's literally like magic to me. It's like you're tapping into creative magic and you're just letting it flow through you, and then it becomes tangibly something. You know, it's so cool.
Yeah, I think I'm sure you agree with this, Drew. The moment like you actually like are almost like trying, that's when it gets bad.
Yes, or overthinking, like what you're saying. Like when I start recording, it's every time I press the red light on, like I'm like, I've been making up quite a lot of like finger styley, like just acousticy things like recently, just little riffs and that, and I just like record them on my phone, because you know what it's like when you just forget them, like when you're out of that zone,
that's it, mate.
And they're just gone. But then like, even when I'm like trying to record the video, I think, oh, this is awesome what I've just made up. I'm just going to record a little video of it just so I remember it. Even with that, as soon as I press it on and I'm like, now I'm doing a little video, it's like I can't play it the same way as when I was just in that flow and it was purely making it up.
Yeah, that's the really hard thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm almost like, I want to go in, press record, forget it's recording, and just sit there for the hour session. Like
that's like another thing in itself, isn't it? Yeah, the red light syndrome or whatever. It's like that's so weird.
When you're trying to record something and it's like you start thinking about something as you're doing it, and then it's like just cuts it, like, you know, and makes it a bit worse than.
I think I've mentioned this on the pod before, but I heard this on a documentary about Kanye, that in his, like, you know, in his ranch out in Wyoming, he just had mics set up everywhere. So whether he was like, you know, tending to the cattle or like doing a bit of farming or like wherever he was, if he started humming a melody or
Kanye does farming.
Came up with an idea, he owns a ranch.
Does he?
So
I bet he's not very hands-on. I can't imagine.
He wherever, like, whatever he's doing, he could be humming, or, you know, and if something comes up to his mind, he would be able to then go to the
record it into the wall.
He'd be able to then go to like the studio and be like, oh, pull up that thing that I did earlier.
Pull up Ranch 2.
Yeah, exactly.
Pull up
and then find that melody and that idea.
Yeah.
So he's like almost constantly in that flow state without having to ever be like actively like, oh, I'm going to record this, you know?
Yeah.
The only thing I reckon that Kanye's milked is Kim Kardashian.
Yeah. Have you seen that chick who his wife now,
Bianca Censori?
Oh my god! And she just goes out just naked all the time.
Yeah, that guy's lost his mind. It's mental.
Oh my god!
Well, he's mental, isn't he? He's like this mental like Jew hater, isn't he? Like, always going on about who likes Hitler, and he's
been doing some crazy posts.
Like openly says he's a Nazi and stuff like that. Mental guy.
Someone thinks,
and he's a gay fish.
This chick I was talking to thought that Kanye was a clone. She's like, yeah, he's been cloned. I'm like, what? Like, do you know how they say some people are like so different to what they were like?
Through sounds nuts immediately off the bat.
She's quite nuts, yeah.
Immediately off the bat, I know that
really cool, but she's quite nuts.
Yeah, it's one of those people you talk to and you're like, okay.
She's just gone on holiday to Jordan.
Oh, okay,
cool.
Yeah, which I thought was pretty random.
Yeah, very random.
Just like a, you know, why, like, it's a funny kind of place to pull you to Jordan. Like, you know, like right next to where all the conflicts.
Was there a specific reason?
I don't know, man. She's been to Egypt and Jordan, like, and then she came back to the UK for a bit, and then she just gone. And I'm like, random, like, one to just want to go to, and that. Like,
is Jordan where that Wonder of the World is?
I don't know.
It's where like you can go to like where like Jesus was supposed to be baptized and stuff. Like
is that in Jordan?
Was it? I think it's in Jordan. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all like around the Middle East. So those countries are very close together, aren't they? Very tight knit.
Just on another note, I've been thinking who Bullwinkle's reminding me of today, and it's Ziggy Alberts.
Who's Ziggy Alberts?
Put Ziggy Alberts in,
man.
See if you know what I mean.
By the way, Jordan is the place with the wonder of the world.
Is
Petra.
it? Petra.
Oh,
yeah.
Like, you know
it's
the
carved
big like
into the mountain.
castles that are
and
carved
she
into
sent
the
me a
mountain.
picture of that. Actually, she was like, and it looked.
Oh
dope.
yeah,
Mm.
I
A lot of people travel there just to see that.
Bullwinkle, you'll be really happy with this because he's got like what you want. He's living your dream, man. Look at that. Look at this guy, man.
That's like an artist that Meg's like obsessed with, like a guitarist.
Well, Bullwinkle's been growing out his mustache, man. He's grown out his mustache
Going
and
for
his
the
hair
Ziggy
beard.
Alberts look, man.
What sort of style artist is that? What sort of style Albert is Ziggy?
It's a bit like.
What sort of style of Albert is he?
I would say it reminded him. It doesn't sound like.
Oh, he's got an
exactly
acoustic
the same.
guitar.
Yeah,
so it's acoustic.
he's an Australian, like underground, not underground. Like he's really famous now. But what do you call it when you're like not signed? Like
Oh yeah,
like just
Independent.
Independent, yeah. So he's like an Australian independent artist, but that's got real big and like does tours everywhere. Like we went to see him live and stuff. But yeah, it's pretty good. It's like, but it's a bit like you can, like what like girls real like it.
It's that rubbish that goes.
Yeah. But it is good. It is good. I got no doubt. But like I looked at the audience when I was there and everything.
It's all just girls.
There was quite a few guys there as well, but it was like mostly like.
Do you reckon the
women
guys?
that are like,
Do you reckon the guys were all like you, were just like the boyfriends of the girls?
yeah. I reckon, yeah. All
who have
gay
been
guys.
forced to go to a gig
with
their missus while their missus is dreaming of getting with the guy. How emasculating. How emasculating is that?
Yeah.
Roped along while you have to watch your missus.
It is. It's definitely
swooning.
a guilty pleasure of mine. I do like. It's like it's quite folky and like.
Right.
It reminded me a bit of.
I'm gonna have to check some out. Because at first I thought you were gonna say it's like poppy.
No, it's definitely like fingerstyle-y folk.
Is it a bit like
acoustic
Mumford and Sons style?
I wouldn't say quite Mumford and Sons. I would say more like Ben Howard. Like I know Sherelle used to really like.
Not
Ben
the sort
Howard.
of folk that I listen to. Then.
No, not like. Highly stressed.
Yeah. It's not like old school British folk or like Scandi folk.
Warm coffee on your lips.
Oh mate, yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I mean, I'll check it out.
You might like some of it. You might like some of it.
I do like warm coffee on my lips.
She's the kind of girl, yeah, early in the morning, warm coffee on the lip and do. She's the type of girl you make down by the sea.
Has Meg tried to make you learn some of his stuff and then perform it to you with your chipolata out?
Yeah. She's like, go on a diet and learn some Ziggy Alberts. Get your hair cut, go on a diet and learn some Ziggy Alberts.
How's talking to that, man? How is your diet going? No, not good. Not good.
It was our 5-year anniversary. Mine Meg's
anniversary.
It was
our 5 years of animosity.
It was our 5-year animosity. The other week, like about a couple of weeks ago.
And that was a bit of like a Freudian slip, that was, wasn't it?
And like, there's a really amazing restaurant like right next to us, and the guy who lives below us like manages the restaurant, and he was like, "Oh yeah, come for your meal here," like and like when we got there, they'd like already like give us some starters and that like for free, like just because it was like we knew him and that, and it was like really sound. And left like some nice prosecco on the table and that, and I was like. So I had a thing and a bottle of wine basically for that. So that was like my
broke.
Yeah. So I broke the thing, but it was a really nice night, and it was like some amazing food and that, and I was just went all in with that. And obviously that was like that was just loads of like seafood, and like I had like they do tapas as well, so it was like Spanish tortilla and that. So it just, and then since then it's like as soon as I've made the break from it, then I'm finding it hard now because I'm just like,
serious?
Yeah, because it's like because I've had that slip, and really enjoyed all the food, and we shared a bottle of wine and that.
It's like open the floodgates.
Yeah, and it's like, so I've almost got to be, if I want to do something and stick to something, I've got to I can't just be in and out. If it I can't just do it every now and again, because if I do, then I'm just straight back on it, wanting it again, and wanting to have a drink again, and wanting to have a pint, and then it's anything is an excuse, and I'm I'm having a meal, it's alright, I'm just having it with my meal, you know what I mean? And it's so
you've been drinking more often?
Yeah, since then, yeah.
Wow,
so I had.
Well, how far did you get? You got about 3 months.
Yeah,
3 months.
And it was just and then because to be fair, Meg was as well, because it was it was our
was she come on, babe?
Yeah, come on. It's it's our anniversary, and it's they've given us that for free and that, and it's really nice and that. And I really enjoyed it, and it was amazing. Just, but for me, it's that's a one-off. But then since then,
it's not a one-off.
I know, and I know that about myself. It's if I've got to kind of go all in with something, or I will just slip up and just I've not got enough self-control to be
What about the diet other than alcohol?
Yeah, so as well, it was getting a bit hard because I do most of the cooking at home. So I was just not cooking as I was just doing steaks all the time. I was like, Meg, come on, just get on the diet as well, just have some steaks and that. So but then it was annoying having to cook a whole other meal for Meg, and so I've just started, when you money in that as well, it was
steaks are expensive.
Yeah,
I only have steaks once or twice a week.
But I was having them every meal, and then trying to cook Meg something else as well, but so I've just started going back to doing a spag bowl, or doing still quite healthy stuff, but just not as strict with the carnivore stuff.
What you were on.
I'll have chips with my steak and that now, rather than just steak. So I've definitely put on weight since doing it as well for a few weeks. I can't believe how quickly though, how I felt it was after a few months of just doing the carnivore diet, I felt I was definitely losing some weight and stuff, or losing my belly a bit, and then as soon as I've gone back to eating some carbs and that, it's just gone lump straight on my belly straight away again, So yeah, it's a bit annoying, really. Yeah.
Do you remember that advert? Great advert, wasn't it? That's probably before your time as well, isn't it?
That is before my
time. It's a legendary British advert, and it was just I can't remember what it was for.
No,
it was just this, and it was this big fat belly that was rampaging through the streets. And it was just
that sounds terrifying.
Belly's gonna. Wait, I'm gonna play it. It will come out for the radio listeners and the pod listeners, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right, belly. I mean, isn't it weird that we're a strange country in regard that we have these legendary adverts?
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, I'm sure that every country does, but it's something about British comedy, isn't it? I literally bet if I just put "Belly's gonna get you."
Belly is gonna get me, I'll tell you.
Belly's got you, man.
Belly got me.
Belly got you.
Belly's gonna get you advert. Right. Anybody from the 90s will. Oh, it's a Reebok advert. So it's a guy trying to outrun the belly. So he's got his Reeboks on, and he's trying to outrun his belly. Right. Obviously, excuse the quality because
old.
It's 90s. So for people that are listening on the radio, not on Spotify or YouTube, it's literally this guy running for his life with his Reebok trainers on, and there's this big fat belly trying to get him. You might not be able to see it, but you can hear it.
On his sidecar. Mate, do you know, I don't think I've ever seen that advert.
No?
No.
What? It's a legendary British advert. So mental. Lose the beer belly. Reebok. Whatever your goal. Legendary. Well, there we go. That was a nice little... That's Drew right now. Belly's going to get you.
Drew's on the run.
Do you know something else that happened the other day, which is pretty mad? Do you know I keep saying about I live next to Deb Rose and bit music and
did she try and have a threesome
Plant and all that kind of stuff. No. Just no. but it's just the amount of like stories she comes up with, like music and things, and like all toured around America and all this stuff and that, and like, and it's just funny, like. And I was just like playing some guitar the other day, and like, I love Estas Ton. Like he's like one of my favourite artists, and that
he's so good. His soul, and his passion he puts into his music.
And we keep saying, me and Deb, like, oh, we should do a bit of music stuff together. Just I'll do some nice fingerstyle acoustic.
Let's face it, you live next door to us.
Yeah, so let's and we've said it, and I've lived there for over a year now, but we've just still never done it. We've done a few little like wedding songs and that for like client, like for when she's had like clients that wanted to like to do those things. I've helped her out with that, but not actually like practiced and done any music stuff together. Apart from a little like on Christmas, we did a couple of songs then, and like I just jammed along with him because I could see what chords she was playing. But like so I was like, oh yeah, we should do some things. She was like, oh yeah, I could hear through the wall you were listening to some like nice classical stuff the other day.
What else could she hear?
Nah, basically my speakers in the living room is like right next to her kitchen, so she was just washing the dishes, and like I was blasting it real loud. So yeah, definitely just cranking it.
Yeah.
But and I was like, oh yeah, I was just listening to some Estas Ton. And she was like, oh yeah, I went out on a date with him. And I was like, what?
Are you actually kidding me?
One of my favourite, like, and she was like, oh yeah, I just emailed him last month actually. Look, I'll bring up the email. Like, we were having bit of a chat at the moment and stuff. I tried to get on his European tour with him this year.
How the hell does she know Estas Ton?
You're joking. She was like, oh yeah, I snogged him at Victoria Cross Station actually. He just grabbed me and like snogged me. And I was like, this is hilarious. But she was saying like it was really annoying because he's so like mystical and spiritual, and that thing, like he was all like, yeah, it was never a straight answer, so it was always like, no, but maybe yes, but maybe no. Maybe yes, you know.
Mate, to me, that sounds like a right cop out for anything, man.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, well, like I would answer you straightforward like a normal man.
But she read me the email because she basically asked if she could go on a gig, like get on on one of his European like shows, because she's going to be in Belgium doing some gigs at some point or something. And he was just basically, it is very complicated to fit you in the flow of the show, you know, in this way. But maybe I cannot say yes or I cannot say no. But maybe later in the tour it might work. And But it I can't. It was hilarious. It was like spiritual jargon that he was using.
For anybody that's ever played Skyrim, he sounds like a Khajiit.
Yeah,
you know, like the Catman. They're always like, well, the moons of elsewhere. I might say yes, but I might say no.
Yeah,
it's like,
all right. I do not know where the flow will take me, but I think I will take some break in the later parts of the year for that tour. But maybe then, who can say?
It's really funny, you know, obviously, like in Gowan Ring, that guy. I don't even know. I don't think he even tells anybody what his real name is. He just goes by B, right? But you know, I told you that I reached out to him. Like,
this
was like
very
probably
like
about 2 years ago now, and I was like, oh man, would you like be up for coming on like the radio and stuff as like a guest to talk about your folk music? I'm like a massive fan. He was almost like a little bit. A bit like crazy like that. I can imagine like almost like similar people, just like super intense and just almost like constantly lost in this realm of music that they've just formulated, which is quite like intense, like mystical music.
Yeah.
And it was just almost like, sort of like, yes, I'd love that. But the winter harvest is approaching, and at the end of the winter harvest, we shall see what the spring brings.
Not like a straight answer, but definitely.
It's like, oh right, well, I'm definitely getting like good vibes from him, but I don't know what the hell that means. I just never heard from him again.
Yeah. That's what it seemed like with what she was saying about Estas Ton and that. But I just think it's like weird, these little connections, you know, that it's like how random is that? And it's like one of my favourite like artists in the world.
Mate, that is so random. She seems super random like that.
Yeah. And she was like, oh well, I'll email him back, and then you like, let's go out to one of his gigs in Europe or something, and you'll be able to meet him in that. And I'm like, yeah.
Imagine if you and Estas Ton became like the new Chaz and Dave.
Oh mate, that'd be epic.
You would became like this new Chaz and Dave.
I'll do the steel string, he'll do the nylon.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be cool, man. That'd be well good.
Yeah.
Man, yeah, what a legend. Yeah, go everyone check out Estas Ton. Real good. Yeah, I can't remember what it's called, but I love that one where he's like playing outside a bank live.
Song of the Dragon or something. Oh.
I'm not sure. Yeah, it might be that one. It might be that one. Yeah.
Yeah, he used to busk a lot, didn't he? Like, yeah,
amazing. So good though. He's Ukrainian, isn't he? He's a Ukrainian guy.
Yeah. Yeah, because I thought he might have been Estonian, but yeah, I think he is Ukrainian.
Was that just because his name's Astas?
Yeah.
You're like, his name's Astas Ton. Is he an Astastonian?
He's an Estonian.
Mate, that is like the most hilarious logic ever. Oh,
Makes
man.
sense.
Yeah, man, definitely. Makes sense.
How crazy is it as well? Like when you when you get into someone, you like read all about them and that. And I remember like hearing that he was like, I think he was like quite a drug addict, like back in the day, like and he used to like busk and shoot up or whatever as well. But
oh, really?
Yeah,
oh,
like,
God,
and I remember this story about his drug dealer had seen him playing on the street. And he went to go buy whatever it was. I don't know what he was addicted to in that. In my head, it's heroin, but I don't know. And he said he went to. It must have been like a really intense one because it's like it will ruin your life kind of thing.
Yeah. Right.
And he went to buy it off his dealer, and he opened the door, and the dealer like said, "I'm not selling it to you. I've heard you play on the street, and like,
you're too good.
This is what you're meant to be doing. You don't want to mess your life up."
The most moral heroin dealer I've ever heard.
But I thought it must have been quite an intense drug, whatever it was, for it could like ruin his life and that. But and there was a time like he didn't play guitar for like 10 years. So like, because he's quite old looking, or not old looking. He's
at least
probably
10 years older than us.
Yeah, I'd say maybe more.
Probably
even.
20.
Yeah.
Like
20.
maybe even more than that. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's
like,
hard to gauge some people because it's like some people look super good for their age, other people look super bad for their age.
I reckon he's like in his like 50s, or something,
probably,
or like late 40s.
Well, yeah, we're like mid 30s now. So.
Bloody hell.
So yeah,
but And I was thinking it's mad like how good he is on the guitar and like how much his like natural gift is for it and that, and like that he didn't play for 10 years and then he comes back and now he's like this world renowned like Deb said she met him on MySpace, so it was back in the days of like MySpace.
Well, what they just like she just reached out to him or something and then just started replying. So me and Bullwinkle was actually talking the other day as well about how like almost like crazy Grimes story is. Do you know about the sort of story of Grimes? So she was what was she doing, Bullwinkle? She was doing what sort of science was she doing?
Neuroscience.
She was doing neuroscience. And for some neuroscience project, she had to learn how to use Logic, the music program.
Oh, yeah.
So she learnt that just for this course that she was doing. And like she like dabbled in music at home, but had like never taken it seriously.
Not production or anything.
Yeah, she never thought like, not like played like live or anything. And then she was just like, oh, okay, well now I know how to use this program. I'm just going to start playing around with it like at home. And obviously, because she's like super creative, just came up with this quite like wacky stuff. And she just started uploading it to I can't remember if that was a MySpace or a Facebook page or something like that. And then it's one of those jammy stories. It just like overnight went viral.
Whoa!
Just like her songs just went viral. So she just uploaded stuff. Like I mean, we've all done it. We're not. Do you know what I mean? Like literally we've all done it. Like at least everyone in this room. But yeah, just went completely viral. And the next thing you know, just all these promoters and people just started like emailing her and being like, "Can you play our venues and stuff?" And she was like, "Yeah, okay." And then basically she just dropped out of school and just started going on this like mad tours. And then she, I don't know if she actually became a crack addict, but she lived in a crack den in Canada for ages. And it was so freezing cold in the crack den, obviously, where they had no heating. She got frostbite, nearly died of frostbite several times. And it was such a mental place that one of her friends was bludgeoned to death in the hallway while she was like asleep in one of the rooms, probably by like an angry drug dealer or something.
I wonder how she met Elon Musk as well. Like,
I think he's just very attracted to unique, eccentric people because he's such a unique and eccentric person. Don't you think?
Where? Well, I think when you're quite famous, they'd have probably been in the same circles.
And I think when you're as well connected as both of them, I mean, I might be completely wrong, but I reckon he probably reached out to her.
Yeah.
Most of the time, it's usually the man that reaches out to the woman anyway, isn't it? Not all the time, obviously, but I think it's more likely. And I reckon that he probably, for someone like Elon, I think that for someone as as unique as him, he probably values uniqueness probably more than the average person. And she does. One of the things I remember from this thinking, like, found intriguing of Grimes, the moment I like first heard her and first like saw her and heard about her, I was just like, this is like a one in a lifetime person. You know, like just like there's no one else in the world like Grimes. She's so unique, and that's what really drew me to her. And then I was listening to her music, and it's not the sort of stuff I normally listen to. But then again, it's not like I don't even think there's really anything else really even like Grimes. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know if there's, you know what I mean? I mean, I guess you could try and put it in a category, but it's like, you know, sort of like electronic-y, whatever. But I was just like, this is freaking nuts, and like the creativity of it. And then I started like looking into interviews with her, and she was saying about her like influences and and such a variety of influences from like Pantera and Madonna and like all these different people. I was like, that's so cool. And then she's just like formed from that like her own style. And I remember it really resonated with me when she said like, yeah, like she might not obviously play music like Pantera, but she tries to have that same almost energy and almost aggressive energy in her music. And as soon as she said that, I was like, I can so hear that.
That was probably one of the
I
things.
I can so see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It almost like smacks you in the face.
Affinity of it.
Yeah. It almost like punches you in the face. The music, and you're like, whoa! It's like you can't ignore it. And I remember thinking that's so cool. And I reckon that someone like Elon would probably just find someone like that and be like, you know, like someone like Elon. I mean, he could have like any hot chick. But at the end of the day, that probably gets boring after a while when you're like the richest man in the world. Do you know what I mean? It's like you want somebody that's like you put value on something else. Yeah, you want to speak to someone that's like as on frickin' Saturn as you are mentally. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know. So I can definitely see why they would have been attracted to each other. And it's so random, isn't it? She's just this like mental frickin' crazy like musician, like creative as like nuts creative musician from Canada who lived in this weird crack den. And he's just this mental scientist from South Africa that makes rockets and stuff that fly in space. But like, you can see how they both would just like love that about the other person.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Almost like from completely different walks of life, but just find each other like fascinating.
Yeah, man, it's cool. And it was just making me think as well when you said about like how she first got recognised and that from just uploading those things and like doing that kind of stuff that's like less polished and that's just like capturing a moment or something. Like it is crazy how people like relate to that more than when you try and over polish things sometimes. Like I looked on my Instagram the other day and like my video that's got like the most likes and like the most plays and that, it was just a random one in the caravan in Devon when Meg just like recorded me and I'm like, right, just record this riff a second. And it's like there's something that's like way more, and I'm like, try I think a lot of people can reach these levels of like fame and stuff just from putting little things out, you know, like
I'm pretty sure like you know obviously because Bieber went viral from uploading to YouTube, and I think a lot of his was just he'd just sit down and just in his room and just put like a little thing. I don't think the audio quality was great.
And there's that guy that's that like everyone loved in America. He's like the ginger guy with a beard that got like Oliver Anthony.
Oh, I don't know.
There was that thing like and like Joe Rogan and that even like loved it and that as well and was, like played it and stuff. But like he's like a massive touring musician around the world now. But
really? Oh, is he the guy that came up with that weird like
West Side?
It's like that country track.
Yeah, it's proper country. Yeah,
and it's like like something like 9 to 5. Something
it's some of Richmond, Rich Man East of Richmond.
It's something about basically. It's almost like isn't the moral of his song almost like, and that's why apparently everyone like empathizes with it. It's almost like the struggle of like a normal man, basically living, trying to do his 9 to 5 and get through life, and it's almost like the struggle of that. Yeah, and that's just hit a chord with everyone and almost went viral overnight. And then Joe Rogan had him on the pod. Yeah. I was like, man, I love your track. I'm like, yeah. Do you know which one I'm on about, Bullwinkle?
I think if people can relate to things, that's when you really are able to strike a chord with people, isn't it? And it makes sense that if you're trying to manufacture emotion and manufacture something that's so perfect, that's just not how human emotion is it? No. Humans don't go through periods of their life that are polished or, you know, everything
sometimes
is
that
up
can
and
be
down
impressive, but it doesn't hit you in the same way as like...
That's why I always say about like live albums as well, isn't it, Drew? Like, I'm a real big fan of live albums, and I think that like sometimes in like the recording process of like say doing it in a studio where you're not all playing together and you're sort of taking it in turns and you're getting too caught up in the like, okay, what does that take technically perfect? You're losing some of the passion in that. You're losing some of the magic, and then it sounds almost like a bit stale, a bit cold. Whereas, like you listen to a live recording, mate, I don't care that it's like the sound's not as good. I don't care that like on a technical level the sound quality's not as good. It's exactly what you were saying about that thing that's got the most views or whatever of yours. And it's the same with like you know, that video we put out with Josh last week. Like Luke, old mate Luke Palmer. He sent me like a message on the Friday, like put up on the Thursday. And he literally sent me a message like, mate. He was like, Calum, it was quite a funny comment. He literally just he DM'd me and said, Calum, you literally have no right to have created such an insane banger that is like, it's been in my head all day. And it was like such like a funny message to get. Do you know what I mean? But it's like, and obviously really like humbling to hear something like that, because a bit like what we were saying earlier on about like you shouldn't be like hard. It should be like something that just almost comes to you. Like I was a super easy song for me to write. I didn't hardly take any time
here,
on it.
Like when you were like, man, I'm thinking I might do something like this. And then he just started singing it. I was like, yeah, that sounds cool.
Yeah, came up with the first melody, and I think came up with a little drop, and then I came up with the chorus last. And then just sort of like obviously then just like fitted everything in together in terms of like the structure. That took like no time, but it's not like, even though we recorded it on Audition rather than just on my phone or something, it's like the audio quality is obviously not great. It's just like they just put basically like a mic up to my acoustic and then just played it a couple of times. Do you know what I mean? But it's like didn't do like crazy takes or anything. I can hear little imperfections in it and stuff like that. But it's like it doesn't matter. Do you know what I mean? People want like the melody and the soul and the catchiness. That's what people want, don't they? Yeah, I mean, you don't care about the clinical perfection. Also, I think this is like another thing as well. Like only like musicians that are locked up in that world care about that. Yeah. The average person doesn't care about that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Definitely, man. Definitely. Yeah.
So it's like it's one of those things that you have to remember. Like the vast majority of people that are listening to that aren't like Luke Child Maple or Joe Wynn. Most people that are listening to it are like. Your mum, or like your sister, or
what's he singing about? Like,
and also it's like, is it gonna just stick in your head?
Yeah,
is it gonna make you move? Like,
it's one of my favourite songs are the ones that do almost feel wrong. They feel vulnerable. You know, it feels like that's the hardest thing for an artist to truly do is take their soul out of them and put it into a song or put it onto artwork.
That's why bands like Nirvana are so successful. Three-piece band. You know, Kurt's like, don't get me wrong, he was a good enough guitarist to obviously write the songs he wanted to write. But like, you know, he's not going to be in any like top 100 guitarists of all time like lists.
But so emotive.
But yeah, he could like communicate with people that were listening to his stuff. He could get on a level with people, and he was pouring his heart and his soul out into like all of this different songs. And that resonates with people, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
So it doesn't matter if like, you know, he like hit a lot of bum notes when he played live, or he wasn't the tightest musician.
That was made it more like fit with a theme of them being like,
yeah, you know, you watch them like, you know, like live Unplugged in New York and stuff, and it's like amazing. But like, you know, Kurt's not like the tightest guitarist. Do you know what I mean? You can see it's like it's good to have, say, like Pat Smear, who's like, you know, being almost like more of like a solid rhythm guitarist to go along with then what Kurt Novaleska and Dave are doing in the rhythm section, and what almost like Kurt's doing, he's just adding that like soul and flavour on. You know, that's his main thing.
Another guitarist around with him.
Pat Smear, who's been on and off in the Foo Fighters for like ever since the Foo Fighters have been around. I think he's in the Foo Fighters at the moment again. Yeah. He was like their touring guitarist, which I always think it's almost like he got a bit of a bum deal in a way, because he wouldn't ever be on like the album art or anything like that, or like credited. But I don't think it was the case, obviously, for the entirety of Nirvana's career. But I think it was certainly for the last couple of years. Like, he would pretty much always play with them live. So it would almost just add that solid rhythm section to it, you know, like,
and especially like when you are recording, you usually will like especially the way like Kirk did it, and that was even with his vocals and that, it was like quite double tracked, and the guitars were and that as well, and like kind of panned and stuff. So to do that live with one is a bit like hard sometimes, I can imagine.
I don't know if Pat ever recorded with him in the studio. I don't think
but
he
to
did,
like recreate
exactly. I know exactly what you're saying. So like, you want to obviously emulate that live, so you're not like, it doesn't sound worse live than it does in the studio or whatever. 100%. Yeah, Pat Smears though, he's a right pro, I always think. You know, can you picture him?
Yeah, he's quite.
He almost looks like he's like Indian or something. Yeah. But he's like
very smiley.
Yeah, and just seems like a cool guy. Just being around that scene, you know, almost like a solid guy in that scene. Yeah. Must have like been through a lot with Dave Grohl like over the years and stuff. Want to give a shout out to Sam Pepys, MVP,
the legend,
MVP friend of the pod. I'd say for 2025 and 2024. Sam, man, legend. Always like supporting the show, always like commenting and liking our stuff. And Sam, you know, comments on a lot of our episodes. So I thought I would, give Sam a shout out, and also just read out some of his comments over the last like month or two that he's put up on our YouTube. So one of them, you know, we talked about like footballers and stuff and sporting greats. Sam Pepys put up his favourite George Best quote, which was, "Most of my money was spent on girls, booze and fast cars. The rest I squandered." And then Sam's put under that, "What a legend." Hell yeah. Damn right, what a legend. Yeah, cheers for that one, Sam. And also, do you... he's put a fun fact. Sam's put a fun fact here. We love our fun facts. We love our factoids on the pod. Sam's put, scientists have observed male monkeys waiting for fruit to ferment into alcohol And then they basically try and get the female monkeys drunk with it.
Whoa.
And then he's put underneath, not much has changed. That's right, dude. All us of the ape and monkey species, we're trying the same tactics, brother. We're trying the same tactics. Do you remember that episode we did when we talked about like movies that scared us, animals that scare us, and then like books and stuff like that? So Sam put the movie that scared him is Seven. You guys seen Seven?
Oh,
Yeah.
With Brad Pitt.
What's in the box? What's in the box?
That's quite like a shocking ending, isn't it? Is it Gary Oldman
Can't
as well
remember the
that plays
ending
that guy? Is it Gary Oldman that plays the guy that's like, you know which one bit I'm on about? The scene where he goes in the room and he thinks the guy's like dead. He's been like mutilated or whatever, but he's like actually still alive. And then the moment he almost like comes to life and that, it's like, it's pretty freaking like traumatic, man. Watching it, can you think of it?
I can remember this bit where someone's fed until their like stomach pops or something. They keep eating. Does that happen in it?
That's like the start. Yeah,
Right, that's it. I must have
It's
fell
like-
asleep after that. I remember the start.
Because the idea is that it's the 7 deadly sins.
Yeah, and
isn't
it's
it?
like gluttony, that one,
Yeah.
isn't it? Yeah.
Or maybe
Yeah.
it's not at the start. It's definitely in the movie.
It's quite like a cult, like amazing thing, though, isn't it? Like people like to this day are like, what was in the box? So, like, and then Sam has said the animal that scares him is crocodile. It's definitely a good shout. I think reptiles, they seem so cold, don't they? And also crocodiles. And you know that a lot of people say about sharks, like, oh, they don't want to eat you. They're just like, they just don't know what you are. So they're like you giving a little bite just to see what you are. Like that's really freaking like, you know, like like what's the word I'm looking for? Like
True.
like that's really like gonna comfort you.
Yeah,
I mean, like at the end of the day,
yeah.
if you like get your leg bitten off terrifyingly
You get your
by a
leg,
great
yeah.
white shark,
It's hardly a point of redemption.
and then
is
you
it?
bleed out to death while you're in like complete terror, wondering if it's going to come back for you, and the last thing you're going to see are these like demonic black eyes and these razor sharp teeth coming up out of the abyss to like take another bite. It's not exactly really comforting. But with that said, crocodiles they know what you are. Either they know what you are, or they just don't care. Either way, they deliberately are trying to hunt you.
Man, they're standing on business. They're out there to get you.
And they say, don't they, there's a lot of places in like Asia and Africa where like there's like, you know, tribes of people, and like the majority of people in the tribe have got like limbs missing. Did you know that?
No, that's crazy.
There are literally tribes in Africa and like Asia
Damn.
where like
They
you'll
go
see like
hunting.
if like everybody in the tribe, man, has like say like got like a forearm missing or like a leg missing, and it's because it's so common for people that like have to rely on going down to the river to wash their clothes and wash their food and that. It's like a common occurrence, and obviously if something then becomes deemed like a problem croc, then they'll usually try and then get people in to like hunt it.
Brutal.
But it's like, yeah, dude, mad. They are definitely one of the most just like cold-blooded, ferocious, ancient predators, aren't they?
Yeah.
And it's cool as well to think they've been around for so long. You know, they've been around since the dinosaurs, and there were like there was crocodilian species like Sarcosuchus and like Dinosuchus that used to hunt frickin' dinosaurs, man. You know, and then there was that giant one that lived in the Amazon, and this one was more recent, called Purosaurus. But Purosaurus was just as big as Sarcosuchus or Dinosuchus, and I think some people even say it might have been a bit bigger. And it was this giant frickin' crocodile called Purosaurus that lived in the Amazon. This was a lot more recent, relatively. I still think it was like something like 9 million years ago. But the other ones I mentioned were more like, 65 plus million years ago. So that's like quite, like, do you know what I mean? Like relatively, like much more recent. And it was just this insanely giant frickin' croc that just used to live in the Amazon. But yeah, crocodile species are frickin' nuts. You know, Nile crocodiles, saltwater crocodiles. Definitely cool. So yeah, thanks for that, Sam.
I just want to apologise as well. We've actually lost Bullwinkle for this last part.
Oh no!
Because my phone's run out of battery.
Oh,
it looks like.
Right. I'll be here in spirit.
You
R.I.P.
can still hear him.
He's fallen into
He is the black.
I am
just
the abyss.
black screen.
He's turned into the abyss. He's become like very Lovecraftian. Very Lovecraftian. And then, do you remember the episode that we talked about? If we could go back to like a point in time, what would it be?
Oh yeah.
Sam and we said like if we go back to a point
Atlantis.
in time, and we said like either invincible or like as you are now sort of thing.
Yep.
Sam put if I could go back in time with no damage, I'd like to know how life started and confirm abiogenesis. Do you guys know what that is?
Nope.
I'm not 100% sure what it is, but Sam can let us know. I'm pretty sure it's a theory of how life created in the universe.
Cool.
It's a theory of I think that's the basis of it. Is that it's like a theory for how the first life form came to be in the universe, because obviously it's quite a big mystery. Like, how did the first ever like organism, even like single-celled organism, just spring into life? Do you know what I mean? It's quite like a mental thing, really.
God is some chick called Abby.
God is some chick called Abby.
Genesis.
Oh right, I see what you're saying. She
created everything.
Abiogenesis.
Abiogenesis.
Her name's Abio. She's Italian.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Fabio.
Yeah, and then
Father Fabio.
And then Sam also put, but seeing dinosaurs would be cool.
Yeah.
I mean, solid shout there, Sam.
Right.
Solid shout there. So yeah, I just wanted to read out some of Sam's comments on some of our more recent pods of the last month or two. As I said, Sam, you are our MVP friend of the pod for 25 and 24. It's interesting, isn't it? Like, do you remember the first year we did the pod? It was the first year or two. Do you remember there was that guy that freaking loved the pod? His name was Patrick, and he was like that Polish guy, and he'd send me messages sometimes. Remember? And he'd comment every single freaking one. He was our first Sam Peeps.
Yeah,
but
you said something that real annoyed him, and then he never listened to him.
Well, I don't think I did. I might have done. I might have done, but I don't think I did. But I mean, he was like a. But I don't know. To be honest, what I reckon probably happened is what makes most sense to me. And to be honest, I think we all do it. He probably just when you're really in something for a while and then you just get out of it. Get into
something else.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I've got loads of podcasts that I go in and out of.
Yeah, me too. I mean, sometimes there'll be certain podcasts.
Even Joe Rogan, I've not listened to for ages.
6 months, 8 months.
I'm like, then I just see someone, I'm like, oh, that looks really cool.
You'll listen to one, you'll think it's really good, and then you'll sort of have a scroll through because there's so many. You're like. Oh, he did a follow-up one with this person. I remember seeing one from them in 2017 or so. I'll listen to that one, and then you're like, that was real good too, and you're almost trying to find the different ones.
Had you ever heard of that? Is he called Sam Carroll or something? He's just done this one.
Sam Carroll.
I think he's called Sam Carroll. I might have got the name a little bit wrong, but
podcaster.
I don't know who
a guy
this
that's
guy
been
is.
On Joe Rogan's podcast.
Yeah, very recently, the last couple of weeks.
Right.
And he's real down the conspiracy theorist stuff and that I think, and it's and a lot of but
JRE.
I've just seen. I've seen a few posts about it.
Is it a recent one? Is it?
Yeah, and I really want to watch that because I've never heard of this guy, and I think he's not. He's quite relatively not really known and stuff. But
it can't be super recent because
I swear it was.
So I mean, I'm scrolling back to ones from 30th of January sort of time.
What? No, it's after that. It was literally last week or something.
Sam Summit? Okay, right. So the most recent ones, Josh Dubin and JD Tomlinson. Antonio Brown, who apparently is a former professional player, professional football player.
CTE.
Andrew Skolks, who's an American stand-up comic. Ian Carroll. Independent researcher, entrepreneur, and host of the Ian Carroll Show. I watched the one before that with Billy Corgan from Fast Friends. That was really
nice.
Good. Talking about how his dad was a bit of a gangster in Chicago and stuff like that. And
that's cool.
Yeah, that was pretty interesting. Oh, right, yeah.
He seems like quite a dude. I definitely. That's been one of the ones I'm like, I want to watch that soon.
I'd love to have. I'd love to have a guy. Is it Chase Stevens? Have you guys heard anything about Chase? No, Chase Hughes. Oh man, I found him very interesting. He's been on loads of stuff, and he's got his own YouTube channel. It's really interesting. He's an expert in influence, persuasion, and human behaviour. He is the author of several books, including the Behavior Ops Manual and the Ellipsis Manual. He's worked with the US military for in psychological stuff, and also works with has I think he's been used to try and figure out what's going on with certain criminal cases. Talk to people and try and figure out is this person a psychopath? Because if you're really high level up. In that sort of field him, there are certain tests he can do, and he can figure out whether you're a psycho just from talking to you. Even if you're a genius psychopath, he'll be able to figure out certain questions. A psychopath won't answer them in the way that somebody that isn't a psychopath would answer them. Things like that.
I heard one of these questions the other, maybe even this morning. It's in my mind. I could ask you guys the question, so I will.
Do it.
This is a test of if you're a sociopath.
Do it.
Right. So a guy knows a guy who died. And they go to the funeral, and at the funeral he exchanges glances with a woman.
Sorry, just to say, let me and Drew both answer.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah, no, I know that seems like an obvious thing to say, because obviously then if one of us suddenly shouts out an answer and then you're like, yeah or wrong, then the other we won't be able to find out if the other person is or is not a psycho.
So he goes to this funeral, and after the lowering down the body, whatever, and he just exchanges glances with this woman. A few weeks later.
Sorry, right. They're at a funeral. There's a guy that's died.
Yep.
And he's exchanged glances with just a woman that's at this funeral.
Yep.
Right, okay, sorry.
Not the wife of the guy.
Just a woman at the funeral.
Okay.
Some random woman.
And a couple of weeks later.
He doesn't know her?
Nope, doesn't know her, hasn't met her before.
We're trying to get like a full-on backstory. Sorry, man. We like want to like we're like
what is it?
What's the backstory of the woman?
It's important.
Yeah, this is important.
Is it my sister? Is it like
no? It's just some random woman.
Just some random woman.
You never met her before.
A couple of weeks later, that woman's mother dies. Why?
The woman's mother dies. Why? Why does she die?
How would you even know how she died?
What's both your answers?
Cancer.
The guy met a woman at a funeral.
This guy's like a sociopath. This guy's a
psychopath. This guy's a psychopath. He went to a funeral and he exchanged glances with a random woman at the funeral.
And then her mum died a few weeks after. Oh, he killed the mother. But
wait, I feel like we're missing something because I feel like just the mother dying, like that's.
It seems random.
So apparently the reason is that he wanted to see her again.
Oh, he killed the mum.
Mm.
You didn't say that though.
No, that's part of it.
Oh, was it?
Like, yeah, like the answer is like he killed the mum because he wanted to see her again.
Oh, what? So if one of us answered he killed the mum, then what that would say that we're a psychopath? No,
because the answer it's both of the answers together. That like it's the way of thinking that would make you a sociopath.
Sorry. Right.
It's the idea of like.
Well, I completely messed up that whole freaking experiment, didn't I?
Well, you're not a sociopath. You're not a sociopath.
Psychopath, wasn't it? Was it psychopath or sociopath?
For this experiment, sociopath. That's what they're saying on the pod.
There's a thin line, isn't there, between a sociopath and a psychopath?
I don't know what the difference is. Sociopath.
I think sociopaths are more common and they're not as likely to be so violent. So, like, apparently there's lots of sociopaths in business because you have to be almost like selfishly driven, very willing to be able to step on other people to get your goals.
It's without empathy and sympathy, right? If you don't experience empathy and sympathy.
Yeah, I think basically. I mean, there's definitely people that I've unfortunately had to deal with through Aspen Waite that I would say are sociopaths. And I think that's really freaking erase that. Well, it's really hard to deal with people like that if you're a bit more like down to earth yourself, and especially if like most of the people you knock about with, like your mates and that, are like bit more like down to earth, just like normal people, and then you're like in a bit more of like have to dabble in to have your toe in that this like business realm. A lot of people in like that are I find embroiled in business are quite sociopathic. It's like and like the traits that go along with it, like not necessarily exclusively, but like narcissistic, slightly sociopathic,
not caring about the impact that you have, like saying like, because I don't understand that. Like say if you could have like a responsibility or something at work, and like and you do something wrong, or like you know what I mean, and like and you just don't care about it like that, because that's one of the things that drives me like the most crazy. If I know that I've made a mistake, that was something was my responsibility, and I've made a mistake and it's like messed something up. Oh my god! Like that makes me feel sick. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I that plays around my head like loads.
Yeah,
like,
I think that's that's one of the reasons that I find it really, really hard to deal with narcissists, because I think, like, I guarantee you won't. I'm like harder on myself than anyone is harder on me. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just never really think that anything I do is good enough. If I've done something and I know I didn't act as well as I could have done in a certain situation, I will beat myself up about it sometimes for years. I'll think back to something and I'll be like, man, I'm like, it's like hurts me.
Yeah.
So then I think when you're dealing with someone that is like narcissistic and they just don't care, and they're just clearly,
I find that random,
and they're just completely out for themselves, and it's like, and it's almost like this delusional narcissism where you can tell that they think they're something that they're not. That can be very frustrating to deal with. I said definitely dealt with people through Aspen Waite like that. Like certain people. Don't get me wrong. I want to say as well. Lots of people obviously met through Aspen Waite. They're really decent, nice people. Obviously, just talking about the people that tend to be CEOs, head of businesses and that though, but I think that like some people like this, as I say, do tend to be quite narcissistic, sometimes are sociopathic. The willingness, as I said, that almost like I will do anything I need to do to attain my goal, regardless of of how it affects people around me.
Apparently, the differences between a psychopath and a sociopath are a psychopath would have a lack of guilt, remorse, empathy, pretend to feel emotions, inability to form true emotional attachments, tend to be successful, dishonest, manipulative behaviour, narcissism, and superficial charm. A sociopath has lack of remorse, but guilt and empathy may be present in some cases. Some emotions are felt, most likely like rage and stuff like that, but they're shallow and fleeting. May form close attachments to one or a few individuals. Consistent irresponsibility and repeated violations of law, constant lying and deception, aggressive and reckless behaviour. Almost sounds like sociopaths are a bit more emotionally driven. Like if they're going to do something crazy, it's probably because they're
psychopaths are just like almost like cold.
Yes, there's like nothing going on. Yeah,
and like you hear that but you can be like a psychopath and a sociopath, can't you? I mean, I know that just purely because I remember I went through a stage when I was younger, and I don't think it's too good to get too wrapped up in stuff like this in a short period of time. Too much because I think it's just you're embroiling your mind in too much darkness. But I remember I went through a stage of what was the program called? It was amazing though. It was like it was one of those like it was basically the premise of the show was this guy, and he was like this top psychological evaluator, and he was like evaluating in depth the case of all the most notorious serial killers through history, like Dahmer, Bundy, Ed Gein, John Wayne Gacy, all the big ones, some lesser known ones as well. And he was doing in-depth psychological evaluations of them. Some of them he'd like spoken to himself, and a lot of them, and he'd done so much homework on them, and he would basically do a full psychological evaluation on them. And I remember he was like, some of them would be like, psychopathic, sociopathic, narcissistic rage, and it would be like, obviously by nature, I think, because some of these are like some of the worst serial killers ever. The list would be like this long of like these different psychological, like schizophrenic, narcissistic rage, psychopathic, sociopathic, like delusions of grandeur, like mad stuff, like severe bipolar, severe autism, and it's like no wonder these people just could not function in society.
Done some crazy stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, mad. It's very, very interesting there. But yeah, I definitely recommend if you want to see something like really interesting, like psychological stuff. Yeah, look up that Chase Hughes guy. As I said, he was on the Joe Rogan podcast, but he's also got his own YouTube channel, and he just puts up really interesting stuff. Because I think it's like it's like that Darren Brown thing. I find people that are like masters of psychology like so intriguing. So intriguing.
It's just it's crazy like when you realize something because a lot of things like happen subconsciously or you don't but once you get someone who knows and then they analyze it, it's really interesting to see patterns forming in like with things like that, like all of that stuff I wouldn't know like what those things are, but like say like when you see something about yourself that you're like, that's actually because of that, or like for example, like I react quite emotionally to things, which I didn't even realize. Just going if I spill something or rather than just being like can't, like the proper reaction to that, or not reaction, proper action to take after doing something like that is to just be like quite chill about it, and like it's not going to change what's happened.
Just like balls,
clean up, and just sort it out. Not like have like I have a bit of a paddy sometimes about stuff, like emotionally react to certain things, and like Meg picks up on it quite a bit, but like I don't even know. It's just my personality. I don't even know I'm doing it. Do you know what I mean? And it's like it's random how you can like just
like having self-control.
Having self-control and kind of like not reacting emotionally to things, because an emotional reaction is usually the wrong reaction. Do you know what I mean? If you can stay level-headed and just like take a deep breath and then like think about what the best thing to do, rather than just react with whatever comes at you. You know what I mean? Like that's probably like a better. And it comes up a lot because of Ruben, like because apparently like the baby will get their will learn how to deal with emotions
stability
from their father. And will take just and like but it's
that's why you're seeing a lot of like wrecked homes.
It's like the opposite, like with like me and Meg. Like Meg's much more level-headed than me. She doesn't really react to things that much unless like, and it takes her a bit to get heated up or like aggy or anything like that. She's very just like calm generally with stuff. But I'm like the opposite. I'm like, if something's not going right, I get like, God's sake, like, freaking hell, like, you know what I mean? Yeah, that frustration, and it's like, yeah, but I don't know what that would be called. Like, because
I say it's just like, impulsive. Would you say it's like impulsive? Like, you need to get like more self-control.
Act, don't react.
Yeah, I mean that's quite a good one, isn't it? Yeah, it's quite interesting. One of the things that I found very fascinating that Chase Hughes was saying, and it makes a lot of sense if you hear it, but I feel like it's very hard to sort of like know this in such a definite way unless it's coming from a man like him who's such an expert. It makes sense. The reason I say this, what I'm about to say makes sense, is because it explains why, say, cult leaders can become cult leaders. Because when you hear about, say, like Charles Manson or all of these other crazy cults, you know, the one where like they all commit suicide en masse, and like there's so many cults, and you think, mate, these guys are freaking nuts, and the message that they're trying to send are nuts. I cannot even understand for the life of me how this freaking nut bar with these nut ideas managed to convince the other people to like you know to follow it, to follow this like cult, you know, these cult tenets, call them tenets, because most cults do essentially have tenets, don't they? Like a list of things to live by and like a code. And like, you know, in Charles Manson's case, even like convinced people to go and kill what's her name, Sharon Tate, yeah, and like her unborn child and that, like horrible stuff. And you think, man, that's like insane. And he was basically saying like a lot of people focus on say like really hyper criticize themselves on like on like what they know and like how they look, and say that, you know, he says that things like they say like businesses would be a good example, and even like yourself, like just walking around day to day. So it's like you would think in a logical brain, if you have the best information and you go into a room and you are the one with the best information, then you should be the one that the most people listen to. But he was basically saying that is not the case at all. And even though you'd think that makes sense, there could be someone that goes into that room with you and they might be talking absolute tripe, absolute got, like, nonsense. Charisma, but if they're saying it more confidently than you, people will listen. Yeah. And he was like saying basically it's this weird tribal thing where people just want to be led. So because people want to be led, they will just listen to whoever's saying anything in the most confident way, and it's almost like this weird thing we have in our head that defaults to, well, the person that's most confident is probably the one that's most right. So isn't it really interesting though how even though we're like relatively intelligent people, well, you know, I say relatively intelligent, you know, we are intelligent as a species, very intelligent species, especially certain members of our species, like gobsmackingly intelligent, but you know, in terms of like herd mentality, whatever you want to call it, even though we're intelligent, you know, it's like if someone just tells you something very confidently, your brain almost wants to go along
subconscious
with it.
thing, of just like.
And he was also saying what's really interesting, and I think it's very obviously humbling for everyone to hear this because it really makes you check yourself. He was saying pretty much everyone he's ever met thinks that they are the exceptions to all of these rules, and he says, and nobody is. You know, he was saying every now and again you might come across some crazy outlier that for some reason might not be, but he's like, but he said literally pretty much everybody that you say these things to thinks, okay, that's fascinating, but that's not me. And he was like,
I'm thinking more on the lines of like, you know what I said about like you don't realize until you know, like now you've told me that, I'm like, oh, you could hack. Like, you could hack that, you could hack that by like, if I start doing that, or like, you know, or start questioning if someone is talking really confidently and like you're just like getting really pulled in and like, that, you know, like, is there other sides to it or something? You know what I mean? Like, could we still hack it and kind of go against like the natural thing a bit? And
I think what you were saying almost makes like me particularly, but I'm sure a lot of people feel better in a way because like use me for an example. I've read philosophy. You know, I try and follow philosophy. I try and be stoic in situations if I can.
You've read Meditations,
exactly. But it's a hard thing to do, particularly automatically. Almost in your head you have
yourself.
Almost in your head you have that to become stoic and just be able to deal with adversity in any situation. automatically is the end goal. But I don't know if that's ever an achievable goal, because you always you can deal with it that way, but it's almost more of a manual choice that you have to make.
Yeah. I also think that's why if you ever hear people with the highest IQs and some of the most intelligent people speak, I think that you would think that people that are super intelligent, when they're ever asked a question, would answer very, very quickly because their brain can process information at a super fast rate and things like that. Whereas actually it usually seems that the opposite is the case. Usually if you see people that are extremely intelligent with high IQs being asked things, they have more of a self-awareness of their own intelligence and are more self-aware that have the understanding that if they take their time with their answer, they will give a better answer. So when you see very, very intelligent people answer questions,
they pause.
Whether it's Jordan Peterson, Elon Musk, it could be anyone, it could be Kevin off Eggheads. They usually pause for a little bit, and almost like maybe even sometimes for an uncomfortable amount of time, you see them thinking about what has just been said to them before they answer. And it's because I think when you are super, super intelligent, you realise that to give a good answer that accurately actually displays your true thoughts on a matter and what you truly think about something in the best possible way,
take some consideration.
You have to take your time with that, rather than just almost like feeling like pressured, or whether it's pressured by the person that's asking you or pressuring yourself, like I'm going to look silly if I take too long to answer.
I wonder what it's like, man, like to have a brain
and
like that,
super brain.
Like that, just like when they're computing, like what is the computing thought?
I think we can all take lessons from it though, even if it's hard to put into practice. And I think the issue with a lot of these things is it's not like once you find out these things, oh okay, I know that now, so it's fine. Because it's like putting it into practice, it's like learning an instrument or like working out in the gym. Just just like knowing in theory how to play a chord, or knowing in theory how to get like a freaking 200 kg squat isn't going to do it. Do you know what I mean? It's like the amount of practice that goes into that is insane. But I think that like at the same time, it's nice to know that, say with like knowing a question, like if somebody asks you an important question, take your time with it. Try and remember. Just try and remember to take your time with it. Like don't feel like take your time with it, because you don't want to. We all accidentally put our foot in our mouth sometimes. We all sometimes say things we don't mean. I was really trying to practice that the other day. I had a meeting with the head teacher of Evie's school because Evie's turning 5 soon, and we wanted to put her on flexi schooling once she turns 5, because obviously you just can up until they turn 5, but we basically wanted her to have like part-time education in school and then part-time home education, and it's called flexi schooling, and it's an official thing. But it's at the discretion of the headmaster of the school. Basically, it's up to them. They have to basically, if they say like no, then there's no. So it's either like you have to try and take it to a different school and hope that headmaster will allow it, or you just can't do it. And I was really, really trying to practice that, like in that just be like really, really measured, really, really clear and concise. Because at the end of the day, you're trying to like convince this person of something that is so important to you, and at the same time, obviously, with it being sod's law, when something is the more important something is to you, the more nervous you're likely to feel. Yeah, if you don't care about something, you will like ace it. Do you know what I mean? If you're as soon as you're emotionally invested in something, and it's like one of those sod's law, isn't it, about like, human life? As soon as you're emotionally invested in something, you're way more likely to like stammer over your words, put your foot in your mouth, say something you don't mean, and then you're like trying to backtrack and. You don't want to like look like a fool or like just talk absolute nonsense. So I was trying to practice that so much during that meeting, just being like really measured and just like and just trying to talk in a way that like someone cannot deny the words that you're saying in a logical way. Do you know what I mean? So like like with everything that I do, I didn't like write down any like plans ahead of time. I just made like mental bullet points. But I just went in there, and there was the head teacher, and then there was this like lady that works on like Somerset Council, and they both listen, and it's up to them, and they have to like evaluate loads of things, like why are the parents trying to do this? Is it because is it like for a bad reason? Is it because the kids that they don't want their child to be educated, or because the child's from like a neglectful home? They're like evaluating you as well as the reasons why you want to do it, which obviously is good because that's like child safety and stuff,
That sounds intense, man.
Yeah, it was pretty intense. I was like saying to them, like obviously, I said to them, I was like appealing to their sense of reason. So I said to them, like obviously, there are pros and cons to everything in life, and obviously, like school is no exception, as I'm sure you'll both agree. And I said, obviously, what we would like to do as Evelyn's parents is to accentuate the pros of a traditional school setup while negating some of the cons. Some of the pros are obviously developing social skills. I think it's a great base to learn, the bulk of your English, maths, science skills, things like that. But I think some of the cons are, untailored learning. Nobody knows our daughter like we do. We want to try and like tailor her education to her. So having that a little bit of extra time at home every week helps us tailor, her education in a way that is beneficial and suitable for her. Also, I think a little bit of cons are in a 5-day, 9 to 5, not 9 to 5, you know what I'm saying, like 9 to 3, half 3, like school setup. That's a lot of time away from your family. So a bit of extra family time, I think is very, very good. And then, just basically all this stuff. It was like an hour-long meeting. I just said all this stuff, but I was like trying as hard as I could just to be like really, really slow and concise and like put things in a way that they're like, okay, yeah. Do you know what I mean? And luckily they agreed, and so
oh, that's all right then.
Yeah, so it's really, really, really good. They agreed like then and there, and it was like so like good that they agreed. But it was like walking into something like that. Do you know what I mean? Like that was almost like quite psychologically pressuring, because you don't know how they're going to react, or if they're almost going to be like combative. You don't know if they're going to be combative, or if they're going to be friendly, or if they're going to be like. At the end of the day, you know as well, it's a thing of like, you're going to have to convince them because you as a parent actually don't have any right to it. You could take them out of school completely homeschool them, but you can't say to the school, okay, well, I only want my kids to come in 4 days a week. Yeah,
because I it's something to have to think about when the time comes, but it's like worrying to not know. Like, think about when we were kids and stuff. It's like our parents like put us in school. But there's not really much interaction of like what we're actually getting taught. It's just almost like decided by the state, and just kind of like in the and it's just kind of is what it is. And like you see things that are more worrying, like with the way that things have been going politically and just and all of that stuff, like what is actually being taught to your kids and stuff, and like how do like what say do we have in it? But something like that, it's more like you're putting that power back in your own hands of like what you actually want to teach them, what you see as valuable in that, and that's like obviously it's amazing for homeschooling. But I'm like, I wonder what what is the curriculum nowadays and that kind of thing.
Obviously, you can obviously look into it. We do get told sort of like what they are sort of learning, but you obviously you can ask for their syllabus as well. If you want. There's nothing that she's been taught at the moment that's like overly that's like concerning to me or anything. A lot of it's just sort of like common sense. It seems like a pretty good school on the whole. The one that Evie goes to, it's just like a little quiet country school. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, and I think another thing as well we really want to home into them is like I said to them like I'm really passionate about education, not just about children but for everybody. Like I think that we should all be trying to learn like every single day, and obviously I'm trying to instill that in my daughter as well. Do you know what I mean? So like trust me, like nobody is more invested in Evie's education than me, and nobody you're not going to meet anybody that cares more about education than myself as well. But it's just almost like that extra day a week just to like because we read to it every single day. Every single day we read to it. Every single day we learn stuff together. We like watch documentaries. We're always taken into like museums and national trusts where she's like learning stuff. And I think just because like if you're interested in just like the world, like around you, like like all the stuff we talk about on the pod going back years, whether it's like ancient creatures or science or whatever, it would just be random bits of trivia. Like if you're genuinely really passionate about that, you're going to naturally talk about that. And like if you have a kid, you're going to naturally talk to your kid about that, but just stuff that's more maybe like age appropriate for them. But it's turning on that interest in them, and especially if you see
curiosity.
And if you see that your kid has got like a natural curiosity, which is in my opinion all you really need, because if you just have that natural curiosity of just like, well, why and how does that work, and I want to know about this, and then that's all you need really to then end up becoming like a fountain of knowledge, isn't it? So then it's just like feeding into that, but also doing it in a way that's like you're trying to make your child well-rounded, but at the same time you're trying to encourage them in the things that make them happy and most enjoyable. So with Evie, that's like zoology, basically anything to do with like animals and like dinosaurs and stuff as well, and like megafauna. But it's just like really, like she's already said that she wants to be like a zoologist when she's older. So it's like, okay, well, if you don't ever change your mind from that, we will completely put you on the tracks to do that. Because I think in life as well, it's not the hardest thing isn't necessarily doing something; it's knowing what to do. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
that's my biggest thing. Yeah.
So I said to Evie, like, look, if you might change your mind. There's a good chance you might change your mind at some point that she doesn't want to be. But if you never change your mind on that, because my old man decided when he was like 5 that he was going to be an accountant. So kids do. I think a lot of people listen might be like, oh yeah, she's going to change your mind. Now my old man, like, you asked my grandparents by the time he was like 4 or 5. He'd sit there like looking at the receipts and stuff when they'd go out all the time and that, and he'd be like adding everything up, and they were like, "You should be an accountant," and he was like basically like, "Okay," and then he just never delegated from that. So if she never changed her mind and she always wants to be a zoologist, I'll just put her on the track. When she finishes secondary school, I'll be like, "Okay, it'd probably be best for you to do these A levels or this BTEC, whatever." And then go into that, and then we'll find her a good university that does the zoology we're at, and we'll get her into it, and then I'll just completely support her in that, and make sure that like the foundation is all set up for her, so that all she has to do is sort of do it. All I want to do is do it, bigger. But you know what I mean? Yeah. So like she's just almost like enjoying the ride. I've already put her on the train. Whereas like the hardest part is knowing what train to get on.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Definitely.
She's just riding that train right to Bangkok.
Yeah.
And we're gonna have to leave it there because we've almost been ranting for 2 hours. But yeah. Cheers, guys. Cheers for listening to us for another 2 hours of PB.
Yeah.
If you don't already, please go follow us on Spotify, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. We love you. We appreciate you.
Oh, yeah.
And give us a like, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff. And check out that little music video we're putting out soon as well. It's certainly a funny one. And if you know anybody called Josh, play it to them, especially if they are also somebody that likes to do lots of different hobbies and stuff. We appreciate it. We love you. We'll see you next time.
Ta-ta for now.
Bye-bye.